not, man.
Let's just go in and like kill all the orcs, right? They're the bad guys, who gives a shit? We just hack and slash and we loot their dead bodies, right? Hack and slash, kill them all, conquer the infidels.
Boy, that campaign sounds like a barrel of fun, doesn't it?
Somebody who's opening a refrigerator and leaning in, right, is the language of a woman. Somebody who's opening the refrigerator and being cut off halfway through that lean is the voice of like a mermaid or a siren.
They're utter shits. They're utter shits.
This is not the face of the hobby anymore. And I think there's been mistakes made in years past where people assumed that D&D players were all, white dudes in a basement. Which has been a faulty assumption for a lot of years and gets more and more false every day. And so it's, in my viewpoint, honestly, guys like me can't leave soon enough.
I just had to be born with empathy and a weakness for socialism and femboys.
You gotta put little hot sauce on the taco, you know what I mean?
We want this dwarf to be the dwarfiest dwarf.
Right.
We want the elf to be the elfiest elf.
And just the dashiest dash of Tabasco.
Their voices need to carry across water.
I'm a creative. It's a huge drain, right? Because fans can be awful.
They're utter shits.
When we got the descriptions, they were very adamant. They were like, try not to make it like a white blonde guy. Like, please, like, we love him, but there's like 500 million of them.
You say white lives matter, they don't. White lives don't matter because white lives aren't a thing.
Lube for their rectal adventures.
What's this? What's this? It's the jacket. The jacket.
Lutherville, Marina Del X, Otisburg. Who's this monster? She's got her own place. Otisburg. It's a little bitty place. Otisburg. Okay, I just wipe it off. That's all. It's a little town.
One girl said she liked big burly orcs with breeding kinks. Okay, I'll just choose the orc boyfriend for her then.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
5, 4, 3.
Great, Sam.
We dumping chump. It's a landslide, sir.
On guard.
It's time to mobilize. Let's go.
A giant penis.
Did you cry?
That so much. I went into the house and my wife was like, "What's wrong?" And I just crawled onto her and sobbed.
Oh my God.
And here we go. And here we go. Hungar, good to see you.
I like the Joker edition.
At your behest. It was a good move.
It was just an idea, but I like it. It fits perfect.
I pay attention to Crazy Mouse's ideas. His ideas are good ones.
Sometimes.
Well,
a
lot of the time.
I've swung and
most
missed.
of the time, yeah. I'll let you know if you do, but that was a hit. God, what a movie. Going through that, I had to like comb through, like the videos and grab it. And I was just thinking, we could have had he could have been in like the sequel.
Oh, I know.
Fuck, man. He was good.
The role that killed him.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that was kind of like overdone. Like, oh yeah, he got into his role so much. Like people on the set were kind of like, nah, he was okay.
He went into that seclusion and then started taking that medicine. And remember, one of the Olsen twins is part of that shit too.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. Oh well. Like I said, great actor. I also like what was the Night movie he was in?
Oh, A Knight's Tale.
Knight's Tale, yeah. He was good in that. We always talk about like eminently watchable movies, even if they're not the best cinema. Like Knight's Tale, it's a good watchable movie.
The actress from Knight's Tale, she's really pretty, but she fell off the face of the earth right after that movie.
Oh, she did, yeah, the princess or whatever, yeah. Yep, good to see you guys. Yeah, who was it who's going to South Carolina? Is that Yeah, I saw that. Hold on 1 second here. You said you were going to Folly Beach. Yeah, we know where that is. Yeah, that's a good area. Like Bill Murray is down in that area. Who is that? It's a regular too. I can't remember. There goes my memory. Oh well. But yeah, we love vacationing down there. I don't know if we're gonna get there this year or not. But you enjoy yourself down
Everyone's
there.
saying
Badger. It's Badger. That's right. Yeah. I couldn't remember if it was him or the Van. Yeah, Badger. Have fun down there. God, great place.
Pour one out for Rogan. He's not here tonight.
No Rogan, so no O&R. Yeah, he's battling a bad back. So he's had to take time off of work and all that stuff. So yeah, it is legit. So if you're out there, Rogan,
he's on another show.
Yeah, he's two-timing us.
Joe Rogan show
He's
tonight.
two-timing us.
Jamie, pull that video up.
Yeah. Get better soon. Patrick's here. Ryan's here.
Not rest in
OGG.
peace. Holy cow, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
overkill.
come on, Joe. Jeez. Don't be morbid. Do not be morbid. All right, I do want to show you guys something.
I got something to show you.
All right. We could if that's your game, we can play that game. Dark Knight of Hibernia. How about a joke? Bill Murray. A lot of people have run into him down there in South Carolina. I say he's a really nice guy. I've heard things like he can be kind of a jerk in the wild, so to speak. But from everybody that's run into him down there, they say he's a good dude. There you go. Thank you, Patrick. Yep. I know he will appreciate that.
Did Scott Garibay run him over? Maybe. Now that one we're not ruling out.
Yeah. All right, let's go here. So you may be asking yourself,
stop the presses. Who's
Stop
that?
the presses. Yeah. Here, I'll go to my here for a moment. I think you can hear. And we'll even go to the remote camera. So you may be asking yourself, what is this? What is this, Double D? I bought a print from Tony Zudlow. He is the birthright artist. Like, I know other people did work for it, but in the same way, Tony DiTerlizzi, like Planescape was his. Tony Zudlow was Birthright. So a few months back, he was selling prints for very reasonable amount. It took a little while. In fact, I was kind of wondering, I would message Tony. I'd be like, hey, everything okay? I just want to make sure I wasn't forgotten. But I think he was kind of going through something. I'm not sure what, but really super nice guy. And oh boy, did he, because I told him, we have a 30-year Birthright campaign. He was like, that's crazy. He's like, that's awesome. So he hooked me up. Like, he sent me this, and he sent me a bunch of other stuff. But I just wanted to show you guys this. This is the Birthright cover. This, is like burned into my memory. It's one of the best covers ever. I mean,
how did it come? Like, what kind of box?
It was rolled up.
Yeah.
He rolled everything up in a tube. He sent me more than one piece of art. This is called the Battle of Sorrow's Field. Like I said, this was on the box set. This is on the rule cover. This is everything D&D should be. It's a bunch of humans fighting. Looks like a Orog or Goblin army. It's like I said, it's everything Birthright is. It's war, empires. Love the siege engines there. Nothing kind of captures that. I'll show you something else he got me, or he sent me too, which I thought was really cool. One moment.
Uno momento, por favor.
As I veer off camera, but you can still hear me. He was kind enough to send this. This, in case you don't know, see how this is coming. Oh yeah, all right. Yeah, you guys can see that pretty well. This is one of the original proofs for the box set. And you guys that are in graphic design should recognize this. This is an original proof of the box set. The actual box itself, as you can tell. Incredible. He really hooked me up. So, Tony, I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I am actually going to now get this off because I don't want anything
That's not protected yet.
Yeah. The other one is...
It's under glass.
The other one is under glass.
That has spilled pop written all over it on a Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
Gavin. Here's looking at you, Gavin.
All right, let's...
We got Jeff from Denkar.
I see that. Jeff from I-double-D. Just wanted everyone to know that Chubby Funster's having a sale on his stuff. So if you like Shadow Dark, now's the time to buy. There you go. Check it out, guys. Check it out. Listening to The Shadow radio show. Oh, cool. Thanks to Razor. I was going to say, Razor Fist has to be involved in that. The Shadow is his thing. I'm going to use him as inspiration for an illusionist in my game. And yeah, like I said, that would be... hold on one second here. Turn this off. Don't want to beep. There we go. I think that would be great inspiration. Those serials from the 30s. Think of how much like Flash Gordon, the movie, is still like so cool to just sit down and watch it. To me, it's almost timeless. Especially with the Queen soundtrack.
Yeah.
You could make a case that's probably one of the best soundtracks for a movie. And I know we love Conan the Barbarian. Basil Poldaris knocked it out of the park. What's up, Chris? By the way, everybody, check out Husk. Link in the description. Chris Miller, Mad Scribe Games. Check out Husk. Seems like a really, really bitchin' setting and game. Giant insects. Kind of reminded me of like a little bit of a Cyber Frog there, Chris Miller. Good to see you. Yeah, but I just want to let you guys know how jacked I am about this.
When did that come?
That just came 2 days ago, I think.
Monday.
Yeah. So Mrs. D and I are going to get that framed. We are going to put this in a place of prominence just because it's been such a big part of our life, if you really think about it. Like I said, he was kind enough to sign it to the Birthright campaign. Thank you for 30 years of patronage, Tony Zudlow. And he signed it over on the end over here too. Magnificent. All right, let's go. Okay, we'll get you off. All right, so I know a lot of you are here for good old Joe Goodman. Okay, so we'll set this up. Joe Goodman, Weasel. I did a video on him. I hope you guys all saw it. Dungeon Crawl Classics. Good game. Really good game. Good rule set. I have nothing but good things to say about the rules themselves. And kind of like the whole feel. Like, that's what I mean. That's why this is so sad. He was on like, all he had to do was just kind of play everything down the middle and just kind of take the old Troll Lord Games approach. We don't get political here. Let's just all forget about that stuff when we go to the table. And, you can talk about that afterward, but when you're at the table, just enjoy some good old fashioned, gaming.
One quick question about the print.
That's a print. Yeah. The, I don't know if the original's for sale.
That's the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. For this house, that would probably be the Mona Lisa. I mean, like I said, I did kind of talk a little bit with Tony, and like I said, if you guys, I know a lot of you guys are religious. I don't know what was going on, but I think the reason it was just a little bit delayed. I think he was going through something, or something was going on. I didn't push, but like I said, he just seemed like a really super nice guy. So I just told him, I said, Tony, I'm gonna say a prayer for you. I don't know what's going on, but God bless. And I think he was thankful. So if you guys can find it in your heart, give old Tony a prayer. But back to Goodman Games. Roxy. Yeah, so he, as I kind of said in my video on this, he wants to play it. Joe Goodman is just a weasel. He's never like the mastermind. He's not like Evil Hat Games. He's not that bad. He's just a disappointment, a constant disappointment these days. He wants everything, like I said, both ways. Go ahead. We'll do this one.
I give you money, you give me ideas.
And you never say thank you.
That's what the money is for.
That's what the money's for. Thank you, John. $10. Shameless blurb. My next book, Caveat Emptor, comes out Friday.
Oh, okay.
There you go. If you like military sci-fi action and or BattleTech, that sounds pretty cool. Please check it out on the book site. I don't know what the book site is.
Yeah, can you, John, text that or put that in the chat. I'll put it up.
Yeah, if you can. Yeah, or if Cal, I don't know if Cal's here yet.
I haven't seen him yet. Okay. That doesn't mean he's not.
Yeah, because I don't think these guys can put in actual links to places. Only me, you, and Cal can do that.
If I tried, I'd probably ban you.
Yeah. If Cal shows up, just tell him. Just tell him he'll do that for you. And best of luck with that, John. That actually does sound pretty cool. And thank you guys all for showing up. All right. We're over 120 now.
Super Amazon.
Oh, okay. Okay. Can't super Amazon. I don't know what that is. That okay. Malachi, Cal had to pick up his wife from the airport earlier. Okay. You must have been in touch with him online, Malachi. Thank you for the update, though. All right. So let's go back to Joe. They're trying to get themselves out of this mess from City State of the Invincible Overlord. We all know what happened. Bob Bledsaw Jr. said a bunch of stuff, that just, look, regardless whether you agree with it or not or disagree with it a lot. I disagreed with pretty much a lot of it. But that's neither here nor there. Look, I disagree with a lot of people over a lot of things. My view is, look, you can believe what you want. Just don't spurg about it every 10 seconds. But of course, this is the 2020s, and we have to damnatio everybody who says something that we don't like or disagree with. I would say it's been 5 years. Bob Bledsaw's probably, in a reasonable world, done his penance. I don't think he's out there, saying the same stuff. But, I think a lot of people on the left are pretending like they're outraged. Because he said some stuff about the Holocaust, which is funny because a lot of the people on the left despise Jews and they despise Israel. So I figured they'd have a kindred soul. But yeah, if Joe really thought that Bob was an evil fascist, why did he agree to do this project? Well, that's the rub, isn't it?
The guy in the bottom left looks like if Seth Rogen shaved his beard.
It does. Yeah, it's a good call.
Even his smirk.
Yeah, he exudes Seth Rogen. Yeah, so, look, in a vacuum, Joe Goodman was actually doing something which I agree with, which is, okay, it's been 5 years. Let's get City State out. But his base is becoming increasingly leftist. And so they're not going to let him, forget that. So he is having to do all of these just silly things to make this project go. We all know City State of the Invincible Overlord. We use the map for it as the stand-in for the Imperial City of Anyer. It's a legendary project, but of course it's, almost 50 years old. So, it sure could use, an updating. And look, DCC, like I said, is a very well thought of rule set. So Joe, I think, wants this money. And, he wants people to back this project that he's launching, which is an updated version of City State of the Invincible Overlord for DCC. All well and good. Except, when he started getting blowback, he didn't have the balls to just say, look, guys, it's been 5 years. We're going to, it's time to move on. No, he was just kind of, like I said, he had to work out this crazy deal where Judges Guild, Bob Bledsaw Jr., is only getting money so that he can repay people for his failed Kickstarter, which is another whole story for City State, which is about 10 years ago. And then in this video, they talk about all the ins and outs and what if this happens, what if that happens. But I just thought this was interesting. I'm just going to let it roll. I cut out part of it, but that's basically how I just set it up.
That's for you before you
I leave the guy in the bottom left, made Steinhell, and I think he was hired by Goodman. Okay, thank you, Dark Knight. Yep.
Questions that came up is, well, how much communication has there been between Joe and the Bledsaws and so on? Do you want to talk to what the last 5 years has been like, Joe?
Yeah, actually, that's a great point. And I'm going to lead with the fact that the entire creative contributions to this project include Mike and a number of writers and artists. The Bledsaws have not contributed creatively or editorially. So you're not going to see chapter.
Well, I mean, you're taking his dad's work. I mean, you might be updating a few stats here and there, but I mean, realistically, that's all you're doing, Joe.
Chapter 6 written by so-and-so. There's a copyright statement, and we had to send the manuscript to them for approval. There is no other creative, or I don't know what you call it. There's no other contribution from anybody outside of the Goodman Games core staff or core team, if you want to call it that. The Bledsaws are not in any way involved creatively beyond a copyright statement.
Yeah, except Bob Bledsaw Sr. was the guy who did it. And all you're doing is essentially updating and reprinting his stuff. Player in a berth. Ooh, that's been running for about 9 years now.
That's some serious length.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah. I still going to getting a print. Yeah. Yeah. If you, I don't know if he has any left. I'm going to assume he probably does. Yeah, I thought it was very reasonable, by the way. So just look him up. He is on Facebook. And if you just message him on Facebook, you tell him that Double D, or Deuce D, as I'm known over there, sent you. Yeah, just like Professor Frink from Good News, everybody. Exactly. What's up, Ryan, too? Should have expected the nasally voice, yeah. I didn't want to bore you, but you guys have to, just believe me. Though the whole first part of this video is just him saying, believe me, we're not going to enrich the Bledsaws in any way, well, except you're going to pay off their debt from the old Kickstarter, which is sort of enriching them. There's no two ways about it.
I've had, it's actually, Jim, I was trying to remember exactly. Other than last night, I think the last phone call I had with Bob Jr., it was in my old car. I bought my new car in late 2020. So I think I remember having this conversation in my old car because I pulled over to have the conversation when the call happened. So it would have been sometime in 2020. I believe that was the last time we spoke on the phone other than last night. We traded a couple emails, which were the contractually required approvals. Honestly, it has been very limited. I had updated him on our plans to announce it and had not heard anything.
Everything about him is just, please don't cancel me. Please, I'm doing everything I can, for God's sakes. Please, I'm one of you. Jeffrem over on Rumble. Last session, Crazy Mouse and Rogan said, too easy. What do you give them next session? 1, Lamentation Configuration, Hellraiser. 2, Necronomicon, Evil Dead. Or 3, The One Ring, Loader. Your choice and why. Ooh. You know what? I definitely want to do at least maybe like a one-shot of The One Ring. Like maybe sometimes there's times when Crazy Mouse can't make the Friday night game, or him and someone else, and we did the World War II one.
Our usual house rule is if one person can't make it, tough shit.
Yeah,
if two people can't make it, well, we'll take the night off.
Yeah, generally we'll
do something different.
Yeah, we'll do something different, or you don't have to show up. That'd be like making a D&D product while also disparaging Gary Gygax. Oh, geez, you mean like this, Chris? As we see the 8th printing of DCC, mentions the Elder Gods, Gygax, and Arneson. Again, I mentioned this in the video. Proudly, all these, Kask, Kuntz, Menser, Patrick Demotulars. Oh my God, he tells stories like Mike Merle's.
Yeah.
Strap in.
Black Lodge is in the house.
Hey, what's up, Black Lodge? Black Lodge, I'm going to be reaching out to you guys. I was maybe sometime in the next month or two, if that's okay. As I get closer to launching the Kickstarter, and I know you guys were kind enough to say yep. But there's definitely stuff I need to bounce off of you guys. You've run 2 very successful Kickstarters, so like I said, I would like to pick your brain and lean on your experience.
They say absolutely.
Yep. Thank you, brother. Mucho gracias. Yeah, so 10th printing, of course, we all know they take it on, and then they mention diversity, which is, it's not necessary. And then, like I said in the video, this is what pissed me off the most, is just this sort of like, oh, just happy to add it back. I don't know why. You portray yourself as an old school game, even though it's kind of in that sort of cousin realm of like, the OSR old school. I wasn't aware that people perceive that as so sacred. That pissed me off. I wasn't, how people think about Gary Gygax. They love him. And for him to just kind of shit all over it, it just pissed me off. Yeah, $2, Ultra American. Good to see you, brother. All my bros, Yahtzees, Heil Gygax, LOL, yes. Faux
Check
shizzle.
this guy out.
Oh, my Lord. Snake Ocean, give him a little something, would you there? I think these are...
Another one. Another one. Another one.
There you go. That's him handing out all those memberships.
1 to 2, yeah.
That's kind of it.
That guy's voice, I was trying to think what it reminded me of. Remember when Howard Stern made a movie a long time ago?
Yeah, Private Parts, yeah.
WNBC.
WNBC. WNBC.
And I think it's important because this might be a really good time to sort of talk. Let's sort of go back to 2020. And I think Joe and I realized yesterday in our phone calls and whatnot that I think I was the one that tipped you off about things in 2020.
Talking about
why
Bob's
didn't you talk about? Let's go back 5 years and let's talk about everything.
Yeah, I mean, I actually
it's gonna be a fake illness.
Again, I don't talk about this, but I remember the phone call I had with Bob Jr. that day. I called him and was very, very vocal with him.
I couldn't imagine Joe Goodman being very vocal. WNBC. He was probably like, Bob, I protest in the strongest possible terms.
About what he said.
Respectfully
disagree.
I respectfully disagree with you.
Anyway,
I strenuously object.
I strenuously object, Bob.
Told him that was it.
Yeah, you don't even know this guy, Crazy Mouse, and you already have him figured out.
There was no coming back. And we made that statement with Janelle. That was actually at DunderCon, if I remember correctly. So
yes, you were at DunderCon.
February. Yeah.
Yes, that was February 19th.
Okay, you got a better memory than I do.
Yeah, south of yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. Look, I don't agree with that. I'm not as I had to point out to somebody, I am not a Holocaust denier. That doesn't mean I think Israel is perfect or but look, it's like I as I said many moons ago here, I didn't realize I would have to have such strong opinions about Jews when I started an RPG channel. My view is just like I'll treat people the way they treat me. Like I don't know, just there's this weird thing going on where we have to like talk about the Holocaust and all that stuff. So yeah, I did not agree with that. But like I said, I'm also of a mind too. Look, if you don't believe in all that stuff, or you're a Holocaust denier, I'll be like, look, I disagree strenuously, but whatever. But I'm also not going to try to ruin your life over it. It's like we disagree. Oy, oy, oy. But that's all this is just an hour of these guys just getting on their knees, pulling their hair out, and begging for forgiveness to a bunch of people who, when it comes down to it, they probably hate Jews as much as Bob Bledsaw Jr. does. At the end, so many of these people will tisk DCC for doing business with Bob Bledsaw Jr. And they'll have fucking a Palestinian flag in their their bio. It's like, which is it, motherfucker? Which is it?
I don't know what else to say. It was horrible and offensive, and nothing he said was appropriate on any planet in the multiverse. I think I'm not alone in being offended by all of it, and I don't agree with any of it.
Yeah,
and that's where it should have stopped, Joe. You should have just said, "But we're going to move on." And he's suffered for 5 years. Nobody wants to do business with him. All right, but now it's time. Let's, in the interest of getting this project out, us making a little money, and maybe. Look, has anybody asked Bob Bledsaw Jr., does he regret any of that? Has he changed his mind? I think, maybe somebody could ask him that. Maybe he has. I don't know. But nobody seems to want to, because in this day and age, when you're canceled for life, and you're expected, to do what that Ed Piskor did down in Pittsburgh, the comics guy.
I know exactly who you're talking
You know what
about.
I mean? And it's like, no, I'm sorry, but I don't think that should be the case. There should always be a way back, unless you touch little kids, and then there is no way back. Edgelord, $2. Heaven help if we separate art from the artist, or can. Yes, exactly. And look, and by the way, there's other reasons not to like Bob Bledsaw Jr. Like he did stiff a bunch of people on their City State Kickstarter, so that was not good. Like I said, I'm not a fan of this guy, but I'm also just saying, like, good Lord, can we just get to a place where we're not just trying to constantly just ruin people forever and ever and ever?
Is that a cardboard cutout of the guy on the bottom left? Because his expression has not changed,
It's not changed
yet.
I mean,
there
really,
he goes. He just moved.
Anybody can go out and
change
find
much.
all the screen captures. It was.
Is he drinking milk of magnesia?
Another publisher sued over it and,
soy milk.
and won.
I'll get that in a moment.
There were
This roll a little bit.
a lot of hurt feelings. I think when I always think about the DCC community, one of the things that I would say is that it's a community that has managed quite successfully to be an umbrella over whatever different way you want to slice the population, politically, religiously. It doesn't matter. Once you're part of DCC, hashtag not a cult. I think one of the greatest things about it is that the table is always open. There's always an extra chair, and inclusive is an understatement. I've seen people who probably, if they were outside of a con or somewhere, probably, I mean, you get a lot of people together in the community that probably wouldn't spend time with each other. But at no point in yesterday or over the last 5 years or over the last 15 years that I've been a part of DCC and the community as a whole, I've never seen anything like the reprehensible things that were coming out 5 years ago.
Oh, for God's sakes, just let it go. Yes, we know. It's like, why do we have to keep doing this? Well, we have to keep doing this because you guys are hypocrites and you want to make money off of that guy. But you also don't want any sort of accountability or blowback from your diverse base. Your wonderful diverse base of DCC players, where everybody's got a seat at the table, and Ultra American $5. What exactly was said that caused everyone to stop working with Bob Jr.? Unfamiliar with the situation and only heard that it was just as bad. I don't want to get into it. Crawford of the Crimson Cross, thank you. Basically,
that was from Ultra.
Yeah, he's not a fan of the people of Shem. Let's just say I think he's not a big believer in the Holocaust. He thought I think the South shouldn't have lost the Civil War. Some other things here and there. Like I said, most of it it's just not good business. It's bad enough to be a MAGA, Republican. People hate you already. But he just kind of went over the line, and look, I do think he did go over the line in a lot of places.
This is the one from Crawford.
Yep. Straight men for Goodman Games. What could go wrong? Yes. Thank you, Crawford of the Crimson Craw. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, WNBC. I'd prefer not to have to talk about this kind of stuff. But it is sort of news, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm not. I wish I didn't have to have such strong opinions about Jews.
and Joe, I've said for a long time that Joe it likes to sort of keep his personal life at arm's length.
Oh, here we go.
That it's good and it's got some and bad to it as well. But I think this is that time where you sort of have to take the hat off, Joe, and I think you do sort of have to talk about 5 years ago, because I think there's some people who have dismissed you this week, both within the community and without. They haven't given you the benefit of the doubt, and that's a real shame, because I think your track record should say a lot about you, but this might be the great chance to sort of address some of that.
Oh, great timing. P.S. Caglione 3. The virtue signaling is strong with these iPhone users. Yeah, made with slave labor. Oh, you just wait, because Joe is about to do some master class virtue signaling. Edgelord, $2. DC fans equals Wokies liking Appendix N. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, there's some truth to that. I read that originally, though, Edgelord, as Wookiees liking Appendix N, which is made me chuckle a little bit.
Obviously, Goodman Games has been around. Well, maybe not obviously. Some of you may have just found us in the last week or the last 6 months, the last year. We've been around for 24 years.
Sorry.
Yeah, so first of all, I am sorry to anybody, frankly, to everybody. If you're in the DCC community or in any gaming community or in any way affiliated with Goodman Games, I never wanted to cast this cloud on you. Bob Bledsaw Sr. created an amazing product in the late 70s. It has had a cloud on it for many years due to frankly, the actions of the people who inherited that property, and I didn't want that cloud to ever be over Goodman Games. So I'm sorry to anybody who's been affected by this, and I appreciate everybody who has given us the grace, the goodwill to give us a chance to explain better, or to give me a chance to explain better, because I didn't do a good job up front. I think to Jim's point, I like that term dark master, which people use to refer to me. I'm quite comfortable with that because I'm an introvert, man. I just want to stay home and read and play games and hang out with my family. But I think I need to talk about myself a little bit more because I think part of the reason that things got filled in the way they did is because I haven't filled that void. So
in an absence of information, people create fiction.
Yeah. So
remember that, because by the time he's done, you'll have wanted the fiction back.
I'm going to talk, I think probably for the first, many of the people who have been around Goodman Games a long time know this history I'm about to share, but I don't think I've publicly ever stated it. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who I am and where I come from. And not many people come from such a place. So, and Jim and Mike, Mike, I know you've heard some of this. Jim, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but just jump in with questions.
Get on with it.
And honestly, my inclination is not to share this. So if I start veering away, like, ask me a question. Hold me
Sorry, I should have edited this, guys.
I want people to realize
maybe you can see what a waffler he
who
is.
I am, other than a gamer geek. So it's like, where do I start? I live north of San Francisco. I'm what you call a San Francisco liberal. I'm about as liberal as you can get. My wife is not white. My kids are biracial. I have neurodivergency in my immediate family.
All right, soak that in.
ADHD and autism. If you look at the family reunion photos from my family, we used to joke it's like the United Nations. I have aunts and cousins from 3 different continents. We are many shades in my extended family. I have cousins who are publicly gay. I have cousins who are publicly trans. My immediate family is filled with a level of diversity that many people
find ridiculous.
I also live in San Francisco, but many people don't encounter this kind of diversity in their life through their workplace or natural activities. I have it in my immediate family.
I mean, when I first heard this, I almost fell out of my chair. I'm like, how does a guy virtue signal this much? Just talk about using your family as a prop. And what it makes me wonder is too, okay, you have your wife isn't white and you have biracial children. Did you just seek her out because she wasn't white? It makes me wonder how, I don't know.
Sincere?
How sincere? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
My oldest son.
Everything about him rings, I don't know.
Disingenuous?
Yeah, a little bit disingenuous.
He goes to a Jewish school. I'm not Jewish, but this school is a very good fit for him. So a significant part of my social circle is Jewish. One of my oldest and best friends, who some of you may have met at Gen Con. I'm not going to name people, by the way, because I don't want this cloud to go over them. But
just my cousins.
Yeah. Everybody knows.
Aunt,
yeah, jeez.
My garbage man. My gardener.
Yeah. Asterion 5. It's really odd to point out that your wife isn't white. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one there. It really struck me as wrong. There isn't anything wrong with it, but it's just weird to point out. Yeah, it makes me think you're using them as kind of like a prop. Like Robert De Niro, I think, does that too. I don't know. There's a lot of people like that. I don't know. They kind of make me give me the heebie-jeebies.
Some of you met some of my old good friends who have come to Gen Con and helped us out at the booth. You know, I stole his AD&D second edition player's handbook at his bar mitzvah like 40 years ago, whenever that was.
Reminds me of when Vince Vaughn says it in that one movie. I think it's Starsky and Hutch.
Yes.
I technically borrowed it. I'm going to give it back any day now. But, many of the things that were stated, when contrary to a significant part of just who's part of my daily life and the people who I care the most about.
Well, let me ask you this, Joe. Do you have to have that background to be offended by it? I mean, can you just sort of be like a normal person who's like, it doesn't offend me, but I disagree with it? And maybe there are like right-leaning Jewish people who are like, that went over the line. I was a little offended by that. Do you have to tick all these boxes to be offended, Joe? Edgelord, $2. He's the Rainbow Coalition of douche chills.
He's like the Benetton commercial.
Yeah. If race doesn't matter, why is having a biracial family a virtue signal? That's deep.
So my personal history, and this is where I swear I've met a very few number of people other than the people I was raised with who are from a background similar to mine.
Basically, he's saying I'm special.
I'm
so
a snowflake.
special.
I'm so unique.
Yeah, I'm so unique. Nobody else could possibly comment on this except for me.
When I was born, my parents were communist labor activists. And
let that sink in.
The Daily Worker.
Seinfeld, yeah. I think he's a communist. All right.
So you wear a lot of greens.
That's not a lie or an exaggeration. I'll cover how they got there in a minute, but there was a periodical.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
The guy on the bottom left, he looks like he's annoyed with him. Like that smirk is kind of the way he nods his head. He's either as if he's saying, get on with it, or shut up.
These people do wear you out with all this. I mean, we see a lot of it.
Can you imagine being trapped at like a party next to him?
Oh God, And look, if he just stuck to like gaming stuff, he'd be a cool guy's brain to pick. How'd you think of the, But if he veers off of that, like that's it. You're done. Like I said, these people will just wear you out with all the virtue signaling, all the snap judgments of people. Yeah, the longer he talks, the more I don't like him, Patrick. You and me both, brother. So he's proud of the fact that his parents were communist labor activists. Crazy Mouse, pop quiz, hotshot. How many people do you think communism is responsible for murdering over its relatively brief history? If you had to guess.
For communism?
Mm-hmm. Direct deaths.
Is that like the guy from China?
Yeah, like Mao, Stalin, Pol Pot from Cambodia, North Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, just take a stab. I'm not going to hold you to it, but I just wondered if you would ever, if this number had ever entered your.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, could it be 1 million?
Well, it's closer to 100 million. And that is not a lie.
Yeah.
A lot of that is Mao, as you recognized, him purposely starving his own people for the good of communism. Joseph Stalin killed a hefty number in the 1930s to try to get rid of people he thought was a threat to him. Lenin, the red and white civil war in Russia, killed a lot of people. Cambodia is definitely up there, like 2 or 3 million people. Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Yep. Over 100 million. Yeah, by some accounts, it's either 90, to 100 million, 600 million. I haven't heard 600 million, but trust me, I want to subscribe to your newsletter. Regardless, it is one of the most despicable and murderous philosophies ever founded in human history. Founded by lazy people.
I wonder is this something that would be up like Gavin's like wheelhouse? This conversation.
Yeah. He would probably have opinions. I don't think he could. He would deny.
Would he have gotten? I mean, obviously a lot closer than me.
Yeah, he probably would have. Yeah, he'd understood. I do believe. Yeah, and it is. And look, I mean, just World War II. No, look, Nazism, which is another form of leftism, by the way. Don't ever let people convince you that Nazism, National Socialism is right-leaning.
That's why I didn't count. I didn't know if World War II, like
Yeah, there was. I mean,
Would
once
been- would have been
it
considered
started,
communism, right?
Yeah, once World War II started, they were just kind of killing each other. Trust me. One of the best things to happen in the world was, I don't want to say it because but like Nazi Germany invading the Soviet Union. You had two like really just horrible forms of government, just terrible people, just annihilating each other.
Crips and Bloods.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it was the Crips and Bloods of its day. And the Soviet Union I don't know if they ever fully recovered from World War II. At least into the 1960s, they were still suffering just the horrific losses that they suffered in World War II. Otherwise, their shitty philosophy may have spread even further than it did. But communism is, in my opinion, the single worst philosophy in human history. And I say that Nazi Germany is just another form of socialism. So, the communists, Karl Marx and that, laid the blueprint for it. And Nazi Germany was just a different aspect. It was a socialism based on race rather than class. But it's still the same stuff. It's still leftist bullshit. People try to mind fuck you into believing that Nazi Germany was right. Fascists are right. No, they are left. They believe in government control, just like the socialists and the communists do. And anybody who says that fascist, Nazi Germany, was capitalist, but try printing a T-shirt, that was critical of Hitler, back in the 1930s. What do you think they would have done? That's not capitalism. That is statism. So it's the same. So when Joe Goodman says that, almost proudly so, that his parents were communist activists, I don't know what to say. I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but I'm sorry. At best, your mom and dad were wrong. At worst, I'm sorry, they're fucking garbage, man. I mean, if somebody had come out and said, "Hey, my mom and dad, my dad was in the Hitler Youth," people would jump down as,
NAMBLA.
Yeah. My dad's a NAMBLA. People would jump down your throat. And be, well, how could you possibly say anything good about this? Yet here he is just kind of flippantly saying, my parents are commies.
In the Atlanta area where I was raised, called the Great Speckled Bird. You can Google this. It was kind of the focal point of a lot of civil rights and progressive activities back then. It was a weekly newspaper, very progressive, run by a collective, and my dad was one of the founders. My parents met on the Great Speckled Bird and through the social circles there. My dad was one of the founders. He worked actively on this paper.
I mean, in some ways I have sympathy because it sounds like poor old Joe never had a chance.
And what they did prior to me being born and until I was maybe 3 or 4 years old was they infiltrated factories to organize labor unions and then integrate those labor unions. Atlanta politics at that time, I mean, I was very young, but I grew up in Atlanta, but it was about black and white. It was about segregation. One of my mom's stories that she tells, and like the factories they worked at, I remember she worked at I think it was General Mills, the factory that made, what I remember is they made Funyuns because she was new there and they put her on the Funyun line. Nobody wants to be on the Funyun line because you go home smelling like onions every day. You had to get seniority to get promoted to like the potato chip line. But she stuffed bags of Funyuns.
Comments, crazy mouse.
I like Funyuns.
Yeah, they're kind of okay.
She told me she gained a lot of weight because you could also like eat Funyuns when they went by in the conveyor belt. She worked at like a cable factory that made like, I guess.
I have a feeling that the Funyuns aren't the only thing that added to like her weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, edgelord, pro-union, guy never assembled anything. So he's trying to sell a game supplement, named after Stalin. Ooh, OGG, good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, Uncle Joe.
Wires. I remember as a kid playing with like spools of wire that she brought home with me or with her to play. I don't know, it's a gift for her kid. And she tells the story of one of the factories she worked at. The first time she walked into the lunchroom, with her tray, and it was segregated. All the black people sat on that side. All the white people sat on that side. She's white, and she wouldn't sit with the black people.
Which is fine, but was that like self-segregation, or was that, I don't know if that was. I don't know if the government would have mandatorily said that inside a private company you have to do this. I mean, maybe that's just look. People self-segregate all the time, including at Gen Con, where there's the BIPOC lounge, where I am not allowed.
Sorry, I get emotional because like this stuff's important to me.
Well,
he's literally in tears talking about his commie
Spool of
parents.
wire got him going.
Yeah, that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
No wire hangers, my man.
Literally in tears over his commie parents.
And I think, but I mean, I'll give you a second to catch your breath and take a drink, Joe. I think first of all, you're describing a family. You're describing your extended family in a way that if you've moved around the United States, if you've been around the United States, you understand that one of the greatest concepts of the United States is a melting pot, and taking
that's my family, man. It is the melting pot, you know.
I gotta remind you of that. Remember, black kids.
That's right, and I think that's one.
I shouldn't say black. I know he said biracial, so she could be in San Francisco. Could be Asian. So
one of the reasons why the things that came out in 2020 were so incredibly hurtful across the spectrum. I mean, really and truly, I've never seen a cell phone of such epic proportion where I think they managed to enrage just about every way you would want to slice the population. It didn't matter if you were Jewish. It didn't matter if you were somewhere LBGT. It didn't matter. They managed to make everybody angry, and it was hurtful and it was awful. And I think
it's like they make their case weaker the more they just dwell on what Bob Bledsaw Jr. said. Because then you just start asking yourself, oh yeah, why would anybody want to ever do business with them again? And then you have to be like, oh yeah, these guys are doing it because they're fucking hypocrites. Because they do want to make money.
The guy in the bottom left hasn't even said a thing.
Yeah, it's hard to read him. I don't know. Maybe he just feels like he doesn't have anything to say, or maybe he's thinking like we are just a little bit like this is a little too much. Like him getting into tears about his parents' activism. Come on.
The industry as a whole had a great needle across the record noise and stop. And go ahead.
Yeah,
Sergio.
and my dad was actually at Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech.
Good Lord. The ghost of racism past haunts Joe Goodman. Yeah, thank you, Crawford of the Crimson Craw. If you want like a dictionary definition of virtue signaling, all you would need to do is just clip this out. He totally looks like, I'm sure he does, Bleeker. Those shoulders, I'm not sure if they could be any narrower. That's probably why he can't handle all this. You can't put too much trouble on those narrow shoulders.
And so my dad died recently, so I'm upset about it. But he had 2 photos on his office wall his entire life.
Joseph Stalin, Leon Trotsky, Vladimir Lenin.
2 photos: Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi. Those are the 2 photos that are in the wall.
I mean, this is getting to absurd levels. MLK and Gandhi. I mean,
everyone's Stalin and Marx.
yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, Joe. You invite all this, when you do, stuff like this.
Because those are the 2 people that
Lenin and Freddie Mercury.
One person can change the world, and they have many times.
Well, Karl Marx changed the world too. 100 million people underground. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I say. They undercut their own point so much. It's like they've almost come full circle with the virtue signaling. It's doing more harm than good now. Rich S, $2. I was born a poor black child. Yep.
My dad died September 27th of last year, so I have the MLK photo. And let me give you a little more background. My dad grew up extremely poor. He actually grew up in the Boot Heel of Missouri in a small town. His parents couldn't afford shoes.
This is getting ridiculous. Is this not getting ridiculous?
My dad was born in Missouri.
Yes. Missouri. In Cincinnati.
Tell stories running barefoot until he got to school. But he was really freaking smart. So he became valedictorian, and they got a scholarship to a small community college. Then he got a scholarship to University of Missouri. Then he got a scholarship to Harvard. Then he got a fellowship at Harvard.
That explains it. Nothing will ruin your mind quicker than going to Harvard, as the great Thomas Sowell would tell us. Bruce Maximus, $5. If we're sharing anecdotes, my grandpa did security for MLK Jr. Ooh, and his crew said they were pretty rude. Yeah, I've heard MLK. I know he played around on Mrs. Coretta Scott King and all that. So he was not a saint. I mean, he was certainly important. For ending all the segregation in the South, which I think we'd agree is probably a good thing. Let's all be equal. But the problem with the left has always been when they get what they want, they can never stop. It can never just be, all right, we are equal now. Let's all get to work. It's always like, nope. We have to bring these people down, to make them a little bit higher, to get them a little bit further ahead, which is just the seeds of another generation of hatred. 2 picks, not you, telling about his thoughts on you. Yep. Yep. This is Patrick. This is I don't even know how to describe all this virtue signal. It's almost too much. It's like a fire hose of virtue signaling.
When the Birmingham lunch counter protest started, and if you know your U.S. history, there were, I think it was Birmingham, but there were, black
Sounds
people.
like he doesn't know it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Weren't allowed to sit at the lunch counter. So many of them went and sat at the lunch counter, and that was a form of passive protest. My dad felt a calling. That's the word he used. He went and taught at a historically black college. So he taught at Morehouse College in Atlanta. He was able to get there with his fellowship from Harvard. Then he eventually dropped out and joined the Great Speckled Bird and became part of what he called the movement. So my history and all the kids I grew up with from childhood were part of the movement. And there's not many like us, and we often talk about it because it's a very unusual way to grow up. Most people have parents who are a plumber, a mechanic, a dentist, a accountant, whatever, My parents were communist labor activists. So when I hit 3, 4, 5, somewhere around that age, my brother was born, and my parents decided they needed like a straight job. Like, Jim, once you have kids, like your perspective changes. You have to take care of your children.
Things change dramatically.
Yeah. And honestly, I went through the same thing. I have 2 boys. So you have to take care of your kids. So they went and got straight jobs. So my dad worked as a legal secretary.
At least he used the handkerchief and not J. Scott Garibay.
Yeah, I was going to say he didn't do the Garibay
His career. He only worked 4 days a week because he saved the 5th day for protesting. My dad had been arrested multiple times, always for civil disobedience. He told me the last time he got arrested, he was in his 70s. And I remember him saying, he's like, man, they treat you a lot better. The cops treat you a lot better when they drag you off once you have white hair.
That's right. Hey, I'm leaving a great Yelp review for you, man. This was awesome.
That's like the family legacy I got. I still remember being at Thanksgiving and I was at my brother's house at Thanksgiving and somebody called and they were like, hey, we were watching the news. I think your dad just got dragged out of the state capitol. And we were mad at him, not for that, because that was known to happen, but it was like, could you coordinate with us? So is your bail covered? Like that kind of stuff. And my dad was
sick of that. Yes. And there was Dad right in the middle of the Birmingham lunch counter.
The intellectual, and my mom was the hard charger,
So I met the president
the courage,
again. Dad met Gandhi again.
So I am in some ways the one who's different from them all. I didn't go into politics. I am not political by nature in an overt way, the way they were. My other people in my extended family have very much gone into politics, and other people from the movement have gone into politics. There's a senator who was my parents' roommate when they were young in their communist apartment building, and now this person's a senator. I'm not going to name names, but there are people who have
Kennedy.
Yes. So there's a communist senator out there. What is a communist apartment building anyway?
Come from that civil rights movement and gone a long way. And I was the weird kid. I drew a lot. I wrote a lot. I wrote my first role-playing game at, I think, 12 or 13. I went off to college. I just wanted to program stuff, make games, and so on and so forth. And somewhere along the way, I stumbled into the business world. Keep in mind, my parents were communists. I'm a capitalist. I don't advocate for capitalism. It just comes really naturally to me. It's how my brain works.
You're such a weasel. As if there's anything wrong with trying to make a living and employ people, give them good jobs in quite frankly, a business that a lot of people would dream about. But he feels like he has to apologize for that too. God, Joe, I mean, I really do feel sorry for these people, the way they have to live. It's constant fear of upsetting your friends, upsetting family members. Trust me, you're a lot better off just telling people, letting it be known, this is what I think. If you don't like it, that's okay. We'll either not talk about it, but I'm also not going to sit here and just walk on eggshells around all of these horrible, blood-sucking vampires.
JP, I'm going to get to yours in a second.
All right. Bruce Maximus 5. Did it occur to this guy to think why he and his parents modified their behavior to provide for their kids? Yeah. And why that might move against communism. Yeah. Something healthy. Going out and getting a proper job. I don't even know how proper his dad's job was, but whatever. Honestly, the misses with the Funyun thing, to me, that's the most honorable thing I've heard. Working on a line, doing that kind of stuff. If
he would have said she worked at a brewery, I would have thought of Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah,
I think he's making this up. You remember in the movie Usual Suspects when he's looking at
he's looking around. He's just he's looking at the poster on his wall.
Like he was a fatso, like an orca. I think he's making most of this up.
Yeah, if he's less than 70, I think he's less than 70. Civil rights was done and dusted. Sanctioned segregation wasn't a thing anymore. Yeah. Well, like I said, it's never, whenever they get their way, it's never enough. You see it time and again. You saw it with, like the gay rights. It's like, okay, marriage is, sanctioned. We're good. No. Now we got to move on to, trans, making them the same as women. And it's like, well, okay, now people are starting to see. I think everybody got behind sort of like, okay, yeah, I mean, gay people should have the right to get, married, all that stuff. That's fine. Go ahead. We already got that. We got the Bruces, yeah. But it's like they never know when to stop. So it's just like, just leave well enough alone. And it's like, okay, fine, we're good with it.
Kaiser Jose.
But like, holy fuck. This is just, it's sickening.
Think about buying and selling things, and I like games, and it just comes together to buy and sell games. That's how my brain works. But there's nobody in my extended family. I had one uncle who had a small business like 40 years ago, but nobody's in the business world, and nobody comes from this background. So I frankly stumbled my way through it and somehow managed to end up with a game business just because that's what I like doing.
Mercurius!
Thank you.
Give him a little something. Mercurius is here all the time. Give him a little something.
Oh, son of a gun. You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?
Mike and a number of other people, we were able to pull this thing off. But it all just happened from enthusiasm for the product, not from my background. And my background is very much from a place where I utterly despise the things the Bloodsaws said.
For the 100th time. We get it, Joe. We fucking get it. But if you despise it that much, why wouldn't you just say, I despise it so much, I'm never doing business with this guy again. Fuck Judges Guild. Fuck the city-state of the Invincible Overlord. I'll create a parallel product. We'll call it, the city-state of, Mao Zedong or whatever. Do your own fucking thing. You can do a project based off of that. But no, because they know the city-state of the Invincible Overlord still has a lot of cachet in the OSR population, which he loves, to dance around. So he's fine taking money for all this. But he thinks he has to apologize 100 times. Hypocrite. Hypocrite. That's you, Joe. You are a hypocrite.
Remember when he said, I know a weasel when I see him.
Yeah.
A schemer.
Yeah. Right at you,
I'm
Joe.
sure there is going to be somebody out there on the internet that says that Joe is saying all of this to try to score points.
Yep.
And what
Yep, that's me and approximately 180 some people. DM James, he's got something coming to him. Tell him what he won, Don Pardo.
He does, and I am honestly trying to find it.
Ooh, it's okay. I'll read it first. Watching the collapse of Goodman Games is surely bitter dregs. Ooh. Are we having trouble finding it? I think I could find it.
I am having trouble finding this thing.
Holy smokeroonies. Let's see.
There it is.
Bitter dregs. Thank you so much, James. Good to see you, buddy.
I would say is that Joe and I have had some very earnest conversations in the last 36 hours. And a point that I had made to Joe was that I knew some of these things, and some of this has sort of come out over the course of our phone calls. But I was the one who advocated. So don't blame Joe. If you're going to point fingers and say Joe is doing this to score points, please understand that that's not the case. More than anything else, Joe broke down on the phone with me yesterday talking about how things hit him in 2020.
Joe said.
and we agreed that if he was comfortable, he should talk to some of that, because all of us in some way, shape,
this guy cries a lot. Mercurius, Joe is saying all this to score points. Yes, yes. Thank you for verbalizing that. Like I said, I think there's quite a few people that can recognize a good virtue signal when they hear it.
Reform in 2020 had our table turned over by all of this. We've all seen the Housewives of wherever, where the one, I think it was New Jersey, where the woman just turned the table upside down and threw it.
You know what? I'm glad he brought it up, because this is such catty, like feminine behavior. In days past, men would have just said, I can't believe what that fucking asshole, Bledsaw said. He fucked everything up. But then maybe after a certain amount of time, like, yeah, he hasn't said anything, let's just move on. Or like I said, has anybody reached out to this guy? And like I said, who knows? Maybe all this has convinced him, like, I went too far. I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have said that. I've kind of been doing a little introspection. And yeah, even though I'm, never going to agree 100% with Joe Goodman, I probably shouldn't have said that. And also, I don't know if I believe all that. Would we ever forgive somebody for that these days? I mean, I know I would, but I don't think these people would. Yeah, you're right, Rich S. It is insufferable. We'll do a little bit more, and then we'll. Look, guys, your future. I'm like the amazing Kreskin or whatever. Your future is not very good as far as this, because you got Will Wheaton in front of you tonight. You've got a lunacy video, and then if you're lucky, you have Scott Garibay. What does it say when Scott Garibay is probably the
most normal of the three?
Yeah, the most normal. There isn't a single man's testosterone in all three. Yeah, I think all three of them together don't make up.
In fairness, if the three of them were there and you had to have a beer with any of them, in fairness, we would pick Scott Garibay.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Between Will Wheaton, Joe Goodman, and Scott Garibay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scott would be the only one who'd entertain you, but also like Will Wheaton would just...
that would be... Yeah. I just crawled on her lap and I just sobbed.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. That's a grown man. That's a 50-some-year-old man admitting that.
I was somebody who discovered Judges Guild in the late 80s. I gradually put together a fairly sizable collection, and I can tell you the thrill I had when I finally had the last of the maps, and I could cover an entire living room floor with all of the maps that were realized. And so I just remember reading some of the terrible things that had been exposed.
How many fucking times are they going to talk about this? Seriously, Crazy Mouse, how many times have you heard all the horrible things, all the terrible things, all the bad, blah, blah, blah? I mean, has it been like 10 times already?
For sure. I'm drunk. I was planning to drink every time you brought it up. I was drinking.
Yeah, that would be a dangerous game for this. Every time they talk about how much they hated what Bob Bledsaw Jr. said.
And thinking about, I thought about friends of mine from theater, from the Marshall University Theater Department, the local community.
Plug. That's a plug.
Yep.
He's a booster.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like, go ahead, virtue signal now about, I have gay friends too. Well, it's like, all right, that's, who cares?
The guy in the bottom left is now just getting annoyed that he hasn't talked.
Yeah.
He's like, you know who he is? Is he Teller?
He could be. Getting that vibe from him. Unless he just feels like I have nothing to add. But man, I'd love to believe like he's secretly like, I can't believe I'm part of this. My ugly mug is on
people that I've known. You know, I've been very fortunate to have moved a great deal. I've lived in two.
It simply can't be spoken, Chris. It's like the knights who say knee. You know, people will just grab their their head in utter pain and terror.
Different countries. And I just remember thinking about all of my friends within the gaming industry, all of my friends in Seattle or Minnesota or Calgary or even Central Illinois.
Westchester, hello.
I thought about my niece. And in our family, my niece finally decided if you...
Right, so they're either, like I said, they're either full of shit or these people are just wired so wrongly. Like when somebody says something I don't like, I either just ignore it or, you know, sometimes I'll just respond and be like, nah, don't agree with that. You know, whatever. You know, maybe sometimes you'll get into a little back and forth, a tete-a-tete, as they say. But this thing where it's like, you know, it wounded me to the core. You know, I sunk to my knees. I lay prostrate on the ground for, you know, 10 hours. I called my niece. I begged for, you know, her forgiveness, even though it had nothing to do with me.
Years ago,
lunacy.
Remember Better Off Dead at dinner when he poured gasoline all over himself.
Yes.
It's getting there.
And she has...
Well, I watched Airplane, too, the whole way through this week. Yeah. Same guy that Ted Stryker was boring. Do not dead name Knights who say knee, says Edgelord. All right. The Knights who say icky, icky, icky.
Unbelievable relationship with the person that I lovingly call my bonus niece, right? I had two nieces, and now somehow I have been lucky enough to pick up a bonus niece. And I thought a lot about
OMG.
that. I thought a lot about what an incredible letdown this is.
I picked up a bonus niece. Do you remember?
It sounds so weird.
It does. Do you remember like when I think Mitt Romney was running for president in 2012? He made some comment. It was in context, but he said he was talking about being a fair employer or something, and he said, "Oh, I have binders of like women." And I think he just meant like we have a whole list of like women, you know, we can either hire or, you know, consult or whatever. And these lunatics on the left, you know, who thought he was a Nazi back then, yeah, imagine that, would just scream about like his binders of women. That's
Sounds
what he's
like. Gene Simmons, when he had his binder of women, caused a big stink with his Playboy Playmate wife, Shannon Tweed.
Oh yeah. I remember her.
He kept photographs of every girl he ever slept with, and he never got rid of them. And she was cleaning out the garage, and she found him.
Found it.
Yeah.
I remember she did that ski movie in like the 80s. She was like something else. Like she was like a mid 80s. Like they just built a movie around her, like a low budget like TNA movie. But it wasn't quite as nefarious as Gene Simmons's binder. It was just like a list of like professional women or whatever. And then this guy talking about his bonus niece.
And so there have been...
If anybody on the right had said, you know, talking about a bonus niece, they'd have been like, how callous, how crude, how rude.
Yesterday that were advocating that this project should just be...
Patty's probably, if I keep drawing for Double D, he's going to end up with binders full of women. Yes, that's right. It's women heavy, is it not, Patty? Good to see you, buddy.
Was this the movie?
Hot Dog the movie. It is. That's it. That's it. Crusader Cool. You win the award. Give Crusader Cool something.
Let's give him something.
He gives. Yeah.
I love knowledge. Hey, Double D.
Shut down. It should be shut down. There should be no going forward. And when Joe and I talked last night, one of the things I said to him, I mean, the phone call last night began with my point, which is if we can't get control of how the refunds are handled, if we can't get control of that, I said to Joe, you know, I'm going to say something and I need you to think about this through the course of our entire conversation. Are you willing to kill the project if you can't have that control?
Yes.
Good Lord. Warren Johnson, $10 Canadian. Tell him what he's won.
That man his money.
Mm-hmm. PZ man, not a creepy uncle at all.
I know.
Yep. He does,
bonus niece. It sounds so weird.
Yeah, the Michael Rose, a bonus niece, sounds like a side piece. Yeah. Yeah, she's my bonus niece.
Yeah, how do you introduce her?
Patrick Demo, yeah, do we need to call Chris Hansen?
Yeah,
And by the end of it, Joe said, yes. That if we can't do this right, if we can't do this in a way that's going to make the community happy.
Yeah, what they're doing is they're supposedly capping the number of City-State of the Invincible Overlord units that they're going to sell in this Kickstarter. So they're not unfairly enriching Judges Guild. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. The fucking dumbest thing. Rich has $2. Will copies of this book be signed with tears? Yep, signed in blood.
We're not going to do it. And I agree very much with the sentiment from yesterday, where at the end of the statement, there were 965 people that gave money to the old Kickstarter, expecting to get an updated version of the City-State of the Invincible Overlord, which I don't think, I think the last printing was probably, 1990, 91, somewhere in there.
Necromancer did one in the early 2000s.
It's been more than 30 plus years. And all of those people have been twisting in the wind for 11 years.
I mean, to be fair, they got burned and they know it. Nobody's twisting in the wind after 11 years. I've backed a few Kickstarters that didn't fill. After 3 years, you're just like, well,
Rogan backed the Kickstarter for Minuteman Mike, and he never got his character.
Yeah, it sucks. It does. But I mean, them making it seem like there's this mob of like people who after 10 years, after paying $80 or whatever, $60, like they're just, they just can't let it go. I mean, come on. It's been 11 years. Some of these people
moved on and played a different game.
Yeah. And so, some of those people are probably dead. Let's in any 1,000 people, 10 years. Some of them are
you
dead.
Can't find them is their dead names.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's right.
I don't go by Steve anymore.
Yeah. Good luck getting me my refund.
Particularly the last 5 years, where nobody has been willing to log into the
No
account.
one. You backed the old
Nobody's been willing
Kickstarter,
to
huh?
give an update.
Yeah. Let us know. No one did. I mean, realistically, did you? I mean, after about 5 years, were you just kind of like, okay, I'm never going to see this again. Sucks, but
it's like the Game of Thrones guy writing a book.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's a whole different kind of pain. But like, if I will say this, if after 10 years you are still deeply wounded by getting burned on a Kickstarter for $100, I mean, you're a loser. I mean, you may not like it, and maybe every time somebody brings it up, you're like, oh, that asshole, he never fulfilled his Kickstarter. But if you're living day to day, like, oh my God, I woke up today, I couldn't stop thinking about, Judges Guild and how they did me
I'm behind
wrong.
on my Capital One bill because I gave that $100 to that Kickstarter.
That's what it would be. Like, they use it as an excuse for everything.
You can go to the project on Kickstarter and look at the comments. And the comments will
Black
make
Lodge,
you angry,
it is
but
crazy,
then really
isn't
and
it?
truly what it does is it just turns to this terrible morose sadness, because what everybody had to hide.
It's an unfulfilled Kickstarter. It's not morose sadness. It's a guy who either got in over his head or, sometimes they scam you. This is probably just, didn't have the inclination to use his own money to fill it. And like I said, that's another reason why, I'm not a huge fan of Bob Bledsaw Jr. Look, people who do this sort of thing, I don't like. If I ever had a Kickstarter, I mean, I would, and I will fill it. Let's just say that it will be filled. I wouldn't care if I have
As
to go
Mike
into my
Ehrmantraut would say, you will be made whole.
Yes, exactly. That's if I have, even if I had to go dip into my 401k loan, I would do it. Because it's like your reputation is the most important thing you have, So like I said, fuck them for doing that. But good Lord, this whole thing about just a bad Kickstarter, morose sadness. Fuck.
It all went to nothing. And what I think people really need to remember
Sweet dreams
is
and flying machines.
this is taking one of the preeminent properties of the early gaming industry and bringing it into the 21st century. And if Joe and Michael and everybody else with Goodman Games wasn't doing this, my guess is that there will never be, if this wasn't happening, there will never be another version of City-State of the Invincible Overlord. That this project is the last hurrah in some ways. And I think hats off to Goodman for being willing to take it on, but under your own terms.
Yeah, and I should have just.
So we're kind of the heroes here. You know, if you guys haven't figured that out, we're actually the good
outlined
guys.
that from the start. It
Yeah,
is
tell
so
us
easy to
again.
have your blinders on and get caught up in what you're doing.
Go ahead.
Clear out of here!
Absolutely. It will be filled. Was a pickup line you used to use. It will be filled.
It will be filled.
A little Randy there, James. I like it though.
And the excitement
Thank you,
of
buddy.
product. So I think we'll do it in a way that ensures all the funds go to refunding backers, and if there's anything left over, as we said,
By the way, they're going to have to reach out. They're going to have to find out about this and then reach out to Goodman Games to do this. They're going to get like at a high, probably 20 to 25%. That would be my guess.
You know, that we all mutually agree on. And I can't stress enough how much I disagree with the politics of the Bloodsaws.
Well, we disagree not only with that, but we disagree with your politics. You coward.
I am the kind of person, you and I talk, Jim. I think you and I have different politics, Jim, but I'll still hang out with you. You know,
But did you take my? I mean, I took your calls. You took mine. At what point?
WNBC.
WNBC. All right, let's end it here. Hold on one
That
second.
guy never spoke.
Yeah,
He had nothing to say.
You were right when you said he's like Penn.
No, Teller.
Or Teller. Yeah, Teller. Yeah. I just want to see in case we ever do come back to this. We are 20 minutes in. Okay. Oh.
Halfway.
Yeah.
It looked like
Yep.
it was.
Looked like it was
38
about
minute
halfway.
video.
Yep. All right. Let's do we'll do the quick lunacy and then we'll get into Will Wheaton.
We will.
Well, I'm telling you.
Oh, I've seen this
You
guy.
seen it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It came up again. I'm like, oh, we got to do it
The
again.
man, that's bullshit. It's total bullshit. You have to tolerate that shit. You are fucking nuts. You are nuts. You're not a woman. You don't look like a woman. You don't act like a woman. Really? You're fucked in the head. What's wrong with you? You are fucked in the head. You're an embarrassment to the community. Look at yourself, for Christ's sakes. Really? For Christ's sakes, who would want to even be close? My God. Really? It's horrible. You are not a fucking chick. How do you fucking live with yourself? Do you think there's one person that really thinks that you're a chick? I know a lot of people that agree with me and that accept me for who I am. What the fuck's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Why? Because this is who I am. Oh, fuck that shit. This is who I am. Fuck that shit. You can't deal with it. I don't want to deal with it.
Oh, fuck that shit.
Fuck that shit.
That guy was a legend, is a legend, will always be a legend.
Good morning, Donald.
She gave the crazy eyes, and she's also a mattress actress right now, right?
Yeah.
She's laying down.
Yep. She got a 5 head too. She looks like
Just
Frankenstein.
thought I'd check and see how you were feeling these days.
Talking about Donald Trump, our president. Your
Got a
president.
cough to your cold? Stone in your kidney?
You know who that looks like?
Who?
My neighbor across the street, Mrs. Mouse's friend.
Ooh, could it be her?
It looks like her, but it doesn't sound like her.
I didn't think she had quite the 5 head.
She
like
doesn't.
This
She
chick,
doesn't.
This chick has a. You could sell advertising on that.
How about some cancer in your prostate? Fever? Sore throat? Something? Anything? You got anything for me, Donald?
Why should you be all seductive with her eyes and her finger on her lips? She's a wackadoo.
It's true what they say. You see it all the time when we run into this on X. The eyes never lie. Whenever there's white around all parts of the eye, they're 100% of the time they're lunatics, kooks.
Diarrhea in your diaper?
Call them with hair. Diarrhea. In your
Oops, I crapped my pants. Sure does hold a lot of dung.
Yeah, Overkill Joe. I can fix her.
Would make my day.
Dirty diaper Diney.
Would like it to be something more significant. Okay, well, If you see a chocolate river, jump in.
What does that mean? What does that mean? If you see a chocolate river, jump in. Chat, help me out here. Yep, this is where we're getting with robots. Did you see that little dance number?
Mm-hmm.
They're getting pretty good.
Yep.
And when you can fill it with the AI that you can access online, 5 years, you're going to start to see these things walking around in your everyday life. Why is her face folding like that? I wish I knew, Bruce. I wish I knew. By the way, I took a lot of this from the guy's name is Shellshock on X. So give him a follow on X, guys. His name is Shellshock. He kind of is doing what like Libs of TikTok almost got so big that she doesn't really post like a lot of these anymore. So there's a lot of these smaller accounts that do the heavy lifting here. And sometimes I'll just comb through them and get these.
People say we shouldn't be insulting MAGA just because they believe different than us. You're wrong, actually. We should be insulting them more, and we should have been insulting them from the very fucking beginning. Maybe if we had insulted them and we had publicly shamed them and let them know that the way they think, the way they behave is completely unacceptable, then we wouldn't be in the situation we're currently in, where we have fucking Nazi sympathizers in office, and we have people who are Nazi sympathizers running around letting their inside thoughts be outside thoughts without them getting punched in the fucking face. Maybe if you had told your...
It's always violence with these people too. Yeah, Willy Wonka. That's kind of what I was thinking, James. Yeah,
that's a great point, Double D. It's always violence. They always turn to violence. Like, how dare someone try to stop me from going into the, women's bathroom out,
knock their shit out of. Yeah, right. Knock their teeth out. Patrick, $5. It's a common phenomenon that these TikTok folks grew up on cartoons, and the exaggerated movements and weird gestures are how they think people talk. Yeah. Growing up there and like on social media where you don't have like a lot of human like cues, maybe it has really affected them.
Racist ass grandma to shut the fuck up. This is the 2000s. We don't fucking talk like that. We don't act like that anymore. And I'm not going to sit there and still continue to be part of your family. If you act like that, if you treat people like that, maybe she would have felt bad about herself and shut the fuck up. Maybe if you had told your homophobic ass coworker that he was a fucking smelly ass loser, and that's the reason why no man or woman wanted to fucking touch him, and that's why he's so angry that there's people out there who even love those with the same gender and are getting some, but he can't, maybe he would have been embarrassed and shut the fuck up. Maybe if you had called out that xenophobic ass bitch in church who kept talking about illegal immigrants because Jesus would have fucking hated her and her entire cunt ass personality, maybe she would feel bad and shut the fuck up. Maybe if we had told these smelly ass, stupid ass, lack of...
Like how she talked about angry people. Like this girl just seethes anger. She's talking about like leaving the family.
Mm-hmm.
This is... Let me speak for your family here, Toots.
Go.
They want you to go. Like you are just you are such a burden to them.
Come back in a few years when you work this out of your system.
Yep. Go find a big Texas guy, big muscles, who can drill all this stupid shit right out of you.
Empathy ass fucking bitches from the get-go, that they were pieces of shit and we didn't want anything to do with them? Maybe this wouldn't be where we are right now, okay? So insult and shame those motherfuckers for their loser ass behavior, because I'm not enabling it. Why are you?
I'm better than you. Oh, you're gonna like this one, Crazy Mouse. Yeah, Thanksgiving. Yeah, everybody's probably like praying, like she's not gonna be there. Oh, thank God, she's going to the other side of the family. Now this is in Europe. I think we're still dealing with the same.
This looks like a still shot from like a reenacting of the movie or the video Thriller.
I tell you
the
what,
zombie dance.
Yeah, and this is why you're very perceptive. You only saw literally 1 second of this, and in the comments to this on X, which is where I got it, that's what a lot of people were saying. This is like
Thriller.
Yeah, Thriller. Yeah, they were saying that. Yeah, so very good as usual. It's got to have something to do with like Hitler, because I see like a lot either that or Charlie Chaplin. Doesn't it look like they have mustaches?
Some of them in the like.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's just weird. I mean, this girl right there.
Yeah. Look, I don't know what they're protesting. All I know is they're a bunch of leftists because people on the right just don't do this stuff. They're too busy laughing at it.
The girl in the front, right here, looks like Hodor.
Oh yeah, oh man, is she missing some hair too? Am I seeing that right?
Vivir en Europa y perderte esto.
There are crazies in Europe too. That girl just walked in front. She's just like, what? She's probably just a tourist. Yes. Release the bulls. I want to say it's all women, but it might be interesting. It's 90%. What do you make of that, Crazy Mouse? The island of broken toys. Good to see you here, T.
Is there not someone out there with a terminal illness that's willing to do it? I mean,
do what?
I'm sure people are willing to help. If you're willing to do it, I think that there are people willing to help organize it.
Oh boy.
It's always violence. It's always violence. I got something for them too.
You do realize that we can't go on like this for much longer. You do know that, right? Like, we're not sounding the alarm bells for funsies. Not at all. We're sounding the alarm bells because shit is hitting the fan and it's about to get real. You know, I would never come on here and try to scare people. That's not my jam, and I don't do this for clicks. I do this to educate people.
She's a passenger princess because they're stuck in traffic.
Ooh, yeah.
Like,
yeah. Warren, $5 Canadian. Is this what 100 battle baristas in combat wheelchairs versus one Tarask looks like? I love your imagination there, my friend. James, fires from Isengard.
And boy, oh boy, we really got to come together. And they've made that almost impossible, but we have to. This is getting serious, and this is not fun and games. Let's figure this shit out. I mean, the ports are empty.
The ports are empty. Yeah, all these tariff experts had to just quietly shut up when we're getting closer and closer to a deal with China that's going to be better for both countries, especially us. Oh, I love this. Okay, so what happened is, and this is actually, I don't want to say I don't want to act like Joe Goodman here, but okay, so first of all, 60 Afrikaners, these are white farmers from South Africa who are fleeing because it's, quite frankly, not safe there. And they're getting a lot of blowback, by the way, from the usual suspects. All the people on the left hate that there's white people emigrating and are being welcomed with open arms because these people are industrious, they're farmers, they're good people. And normally I would say oh, isn't this great? But it's I know of somebody who is white in South Africa whose home was invaded and they were, I don't want to say they were very much threatened, terrorized, I guess you would say. And thank God they ended up okay. But apparently that goes on all the time because the government of South Africa it's all about taking vengeance for apartheid. And if you ever want to know what the U.S. will look like if a lot of these people like AOC get elected, it'll look a lot like South Africa. They will start They will start looking people up. So this I thought was just beautiful. All these great Afrikaners coming here. And of course, Senator Chris Van Hollen claims that they don't need refugee status after he admitted 60.
Welcome to the United States of America. A lot of you, I think, are farmers, right? When you have quality seeds, you can put them in foreign soil and they will blossom, they will bloom. And we are excited to welcome you here to our country where we think you will bloom, and we will hopefully allow you to have fulfilling lives for your children, and then when we will benefit alongside you.
I mean, show of hands. Do we believe offhand? I know anything can happen, but do we believe any of those people are going to be a problem?
Not one of them.
Not one. Not a single one. They're gonna be so thankful for being here. You saw the little girl waving the American flag there. I love the contrast there too, of people who just take this country for granted. They are so happy to be here and free and relatively safe. Every one of those people is going to grow up to be an asset to this country. I mean, we should, before Trump leaves office, he should try to get every single one of these people that he can over here. And the left hates it because they know they've already seen, the bullshit of, what happens when you believe all the lies of communism and all that stuff, which is where the government of South Africa is at. They're essentially communists. So welcome here, Afrikaners. Oh, looks like we are done. If the left is worried about equity for every white South African we bring here, we can deport a white Democrat to South Africa. Ooh, yeah. I like where your head is at.
Like the Brittany Griner trade.
Yes, yeah. Let's get more even on that.
They try to act like, oh, political violence, it's the Democrats and it's the liberals, and it's like actually, I mean, I'm not gonna say that like a left-leaning person cannot be violent, because that would be like crazy to say that somebody can't be. But baby.
Is that our next president? Is that her?
Is
that Felicia?
Oh yeah, it's Jasmine. Good old Jasmine Crockett. With her big old fun bags there.
Y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay?
Leftist. Trying to sucker punch, but he gets intercepted. That is still the best. Yeah, here's more Antifa people. Here are some of these people that, I'm sure they could be violent, but they never are violent.
Oh my.
Yeah, notice the rainbow thing there. Yeah, so we're pretty sure where these people are. Well, they all have black masks on. They're Antifa, surrounding someone.
Hey, get the fuck out.
These are the ones that Jasmine says are probably never violent. There you go.
You touch me. I fucking touch me. How you want to go? Back up. Come on, back the fuck up.
Same group. You can see the rainbow headset there.
He's got a hammer! Hey, no hammers! Oh! Yo!
This is Andy No, who's a journalist who covers Antifa specifically because he has the guts to do it. And all of our mainstream media are pussies and they won't. So this was scary. This happened a couple years ago. There's your wonderful tolerant left. Oh, there he is. Yep. There's your loving left.
Fucking
pieces of shit.
Bitch.
All right, so I need a little palate cleanser. So these last two are just a little palate cleanser. They speak for themselves. This is the police going after Antifa. You'll see one getting bodied here. Boom. Oh, poor guy. Please don't stop. And this is the ultimate from the Battle of Portland. This is, I believe, a Proud Boy named Rufio Panboy or something going at it in the Battle of Portland. with a skinny little Antifa who's about to make the biggest mistake of his life, squaring up against this guy. Boom! Glasses go into orbit. And
he's asleep.
Yeah, oh, he is out. I love the Antifa chick there. He won't even touch her. You know, he knows better, and she's already thinking like, holy shit. Shit just got real. Oh, did he?
No.
The guy he just hit. Oh wow, Asterion. If he did, I don't know. You say he didn't?
I don't think he did. I think he just got knocked out.
I heard that he had some like long-term issues. But look, if you're going to engage in thuggery, people are going to fight back. You know, I hope he didn't die. Let's just say that. I hope he changed his ways and he's still alive. But you know, we're going to keep rolling, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we have to have. I feel like there are very bad actors in this world.
Ooh, you're one of them.
Who very much exploit people.
Shut up, Wesley.
Want to keep an open mind. I very much want to keep an open mind, but I'm almost 53 years old. I've been exposed to so much bullshit in my life that it's not that I'm rejecting your personal opinion, internet wacko. I have heard your stupid argument, and I rejected it before you were born.
He's so insufferable. Rich S. Yep. Fuck around, find out for 2. He did.
Yeah. So, like, I don't need to engage in this sort of thing. 18th century, the great spirit mediums were actually very skilled cold readers. Yep. They were unbelievably skilled at telling people what they want.
This is he was on her show a while back, and I think that was the basis for my original Will Wheaton video. So he came back with more of his
to give you another video.
Or intuiting.
Yes.
Intuiting, right?
Yeah.
The word
it's a thing
intuition.
we do as actors too.
Right.
We just, someone comes in and you're like, that person code's dangerous. I don't know why.
Right.
That person code's really fun and silly and I kind of want to go be around them. Like
So you have to be an actor to be able to read people. A detestable little turd.
It is Blossom Bleecker. And she played Amy Farrah Fowler on The Big Bang Theory. Why is he wearing a wiener on his shirt, says Mac Thompson.
Yeah, this is a little bit of Will for context. This is after the election. I knew they were always here, but I always believed that there were more good, kind, compassionate people who chose light over darkness. I always believed that we were the good guys, the place people came to. It's just a lot. It's going to take me a long time to process this and find a way to not feel despair every moment of every day until he is dead. Talking about Trump here. And maybe America comes back from this open embrace.
Remember, this is the guy that got super upset when Elmo got punched.
Yes. Yep. From Fandom Pulse, John Delarose's. Will is known as the most obnoxious virtue-signaling leftist on the internet. Yep. Posting an Instagram story telling trans people he will never forgive the people who voted for what you're going through right now. In an apparent shot at Trump supporters. Here he's talking about Zach Levi.
Oh, Chuck.
Chuck and Shazam. Something I love about our community is how welcoming and diverse we are. We're a safe place for everyone who's ever been othered. God, I hate that term. Safe place for vulnerable people to come together. With that in mind, I think it's pretty important for anyone who supports Nerd HQ knows who and what they're supporting. He's talking about, that must be Zach Levi's thing. What a disappointment, what a disgrace, how disgusting. At the end of the post, Wheaton also clarified that safe spaces can't exist if those who continue to make others feel unsafe are allowed to be a part. And that
cock is pretty good.
That's for his shirt.
Yeah. And the rights of individuals are not up for debate. Paradox of intolerance. A place is not safe if you can't keep out the people who would make it unsafe. This includes non-physical safety. Come on. Fundamental human rights. He is such an awful, wretched person.
We just know. We learn to pick up. Trauma survivors learn how to scan things all the time. Where I land on that is I don't understand. Right. I don't think anybody really does.
Right.
I'm deeply skeptical.
Sure.
And especially as this relates to people facilitating communication for children, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're exploiting a child, you piece of shit.
In some cases, what it's compared to is like a Ouija board, which is not cool. But there are
But
many.
that's also not a thing.
Right. But
I am telling people who exploit children for financial gain by
Sure.
making a thing up.
Oh, yeah.
To go fuck themselves.
100%.
I want to be really clear about that. It's like when I feel
He is so unhinged. Just goes off on these like the least little
rants.
thing. Yeah, it just sets him off.
that a child is in any way threatened or exploited or whatever.
Sure.
I go from normal person to we're gonna fight. Like it's so
Right.
fast. You just saw it happen.
Right.
So that's the
Yeah.
thing that happens.
Yeah, because of his make-believe abuse that he suffered.
For sure.
Well, let's talk about the trauma survivor who
Uh-huh.
is constantly scanning and the adaptation that
Yeah.
that creates. Because you mentioned
a thing that I became aware of.
I agree, Dice Tale Zero.
And how that anger was built up a big wall around me. And I always felt like this wall of anger is doing a really good job keeping stuff away from me, right? When something was going to if I was going to freak out about a thing, the wall of anger would bounce it off and I would do great. Except that's not what was happening. The wall of anger was absorbing the anger and just holding it and just waiting. And every now and then it would just be like, hey, buddy, check this out. Crash.
But you're still angry. That stuff about, wishing Trump supporters, the worst. I mean, that was like a couple months ago. You're still as angry as ever, Will.
And I'd get dysregulated and hold IFS.
internal family systems.
Yeah, and I've been doing that in EMDR. And it's been remarkable, and it's been really life-changing for me. Because I feel like when I was a kid, I just wasn't listened to.
Here we go. So, you have to remember, too, he was not doing any of this stuff, saying any of this stuff until, I think, about 2016, maybe 2017. When he knew his parents were Trump supporters, and that pushed him over the edge, he started this fantasy about them being abusive. But up until that point, he has a rich history in his blog of talking very kindly about his parents up until then. And I will be the advocate for his parents, who his brother and sister apparently love.
Chris Miller. Happy birthday.
There you go.
The feelings were invalidated. My
Do it.
ideas and opinions were mocked and humiliated, and my agency was completely taken away from me.
whiner.
And I was upset. I was scared and lonely and anxious all the time. Well, all of that built up in me, and it's got to go somewhere.
like a gorilla.
That kid never had anybody to talk to. I will be here for that kid. And it feels,
Will is
it
there
feels
for you.
silly to talk about it. It
Like an adoptive
feels a little
niece.
weird.
A bonus niece.
But every now and then I feel some version of me. There are some real clear young versions of me. There's 7-year-old me who just wants to be a kid. There's 10-year-old me who has realized what is happening to him. And then there's teenage me who is furious at what is going on and just desperately wants to fix it all and wants all the lies that he is being told to actually be true. I get into conversations with them. I listen to what they say and the ways that our parents never heard us.
Bingo.
And it really makes a big, big difference for me. If you want to tie this back into the idea of quantum reality, of reality being these layers, and it's difficult.
That's another thing, too. I had to cut out part of this, but it's like they were bringing Will Wheaton on, Will's got this great scientific mind. Like he's some sort of a fucking, luminary in science. He's not a scientist. He's a child actor who was on a sci-fi show. So they were asking,
and he was on a show about scientists.
Yeah, yes. That's expressly it as far as his science background. I mean, he has no formal training. He has no formal education. He's learned on the internet just like all of us. But this Mayim is there, and her co-hosts were going to him like, "Hey, Will, what do you think about this?" And Will's just stroking his chin like, "I don't believe that. I'm a bit of a skeptic." This guy is a retard.
Right? It's like trying to describe 3 dimensions to somebody who lives in flatland. But if I just think about, we're moving through a gelatinous cube, right? And like we just go through a slice of the cube at a time, right? And like that cube represents time and all.
Yeah, all serious scientists put in D&D references.
There is this way that, again, I don't understand, and I wouldn't call it science, and I would never suggest that this is a thing anybody can do. Where I feel like I'm
So
really
smug.
reaching through time, and I'm really finding
That is
that.
so
I'm finding that. I'm finding that younger version of me, and I'm saying like, I am so sorry, man. I hate that this happened to you. I will listen to you. Yeah, of course.
I hate that you became a millionaire. I hate that you now know celebrities. I hate that you're on another celebrity's podcast well into your 50s after you've been bitching about this stuff for 10 years. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's possible to get out of Hollywood and live a normal life. Bigger stars than you have done it, Will. Rick Moranis said one day, I'm done acting. I want to be a private citizen. You don't hear from Rick Moranis anymore. He's done. You could have easily done this. You choose to be a public figure. Yeah, Will Dunning-Kruger Wheaton, bless your heart. Yeah, exactly, Patrick. Yeah, these people, it's like, you know you weren't actually the helmsman on a starship, Will. You're not the child genius that Wesley Crusher was supposed to be.
You want to do?
You know,
you want to go?
Michael brings up a good point. Not just, I think he's probably referring to Wesley Crusher.
Yes.
But
yes,
remember,
for sure.
he played himself on The Big Bang Theory, and everyone didn't like him there either.
yes.
Not the other actors. I mean, like
yeah,
on the show.
The characters, yeah. But there had to be something there. Like there's something innately unlikable about this guy.
Do something fun. Let's go do something fun.
It's said that we are every single age we've ever been right now.
Right. That book, The Body Keeps the Score, was a real eye-opener for me. And another book called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents.
Got to get a dig in there at his parents, always. Just it's so sad. Anybody who's a parent themselves, this is their worst nightmare, to have a kid like this who's not thankful for anything.
Those things together really showed me, oh yeah, this lives in your body. It stays there. You got to find a way to let it go. I have actually, what I said, I can't explain this and it seems weird, but it's happened to me, so I know it's real. My parents forced me to do this movie called The Curse in 1987.
I just was pulling this up and talking to Valerie about it.
Yeah. My sister and I were abused horrifically. Physically abused, emotionally abused. I was sexually abused.
All right, so he just said he was sexually abused. He has never once
I've never heard him
said that he was sexually abused, ever. And quite frankly, it makes me not believe him, because what is he calling that? I am really, really dubious of that. Jeffrem over on Rumble, $2. As someone who's worked with people who were actual abuse victims, I've never wanted to scream, "Shut up, Wesley," so bad in my life. Yeah, you've probably seen far, far worse than someone who's the product of their abuse was them essentially being a celebrity and being able to make money just by being yourself and making appearances. It's disgusting. Yeah. Also, Rick Moranis left acting for his kids after his wife passed. Yes, such a good dude. I remember he got sucker punched in New York. Do you remember when that happened a couple years back?
I don't remember that.
He did. He was just walking the streets, and I don't think he was targeted because I think he just was wrong place, wrong time. Yeah, but some idiot sucker punched him. I think he was okay, but that really pissed me off.
It was horrific. No one protected us. Right. Not a single adult. And this was happening constantly. It was in front of everyone.
He's getting to the point he has to keep upping. He has to keep upping all the stuff that
to become more, to stay relevant.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. It's not a coincidence that
some people would say for a drug he's chasing a bigger high.
Yes.
He's become numb to his old stuff. So let me.
Well said. Yeah, right. That's well said. I think you do sort of become addicted to the attention that you get when you say this, and I don't think it was a coincidence that when he started doing this, I think that's when Big Bang ended. And he's looking at his career oh shit, what do I do now? Nobody's really going to want me. My last show, my last steady paycheck, I had to essentially play myself. I mean, nobody's going to do that again.
A single adult did a
so it's always about like, hey, my parents, they did a few things, but hey, that's the way it started. And then every year it's just kept building. My dad was a monster. And now all of a sudden he's getting diddled on the set of The Cursed or whatever. The Curse.
To protect either of us.
I mean, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Who I really feel just, in a way, trafficked us to these producers so they could make money.
Now he's being trafficked.
All these movies and shows that he was in would have existed without him. Like,
yeah, he was just...
They didn't need him for any of them.
Right. Yep. I mean, and a lot of people would say, look, if the next generation did not have him in the first couple seasons when he was really prominent, it would have been a much better show. Because he was sort of the wonder boy, and it's all cringe. Here's what I hate. Okay, so there is human trafficking. Gee, and it seems to prosper when we have an open border. Boy, you'd think one side would figure that out. So there are legit people who are like forced into like sex work and all that stuff. Horrific stuff. And this motherfucker is saying, putting himself on that same playing field by saying he was trafficked to a producer. I don't believe you, Will. I don't believe you. I will never believe you. It's like that Eliza Blue on Twitter a couple years ago talking about how she was trafficked on social media. What is this? This stuff doesn't mean anything if you keep using it for everything. It has a very specific meaning. It means you are taken against your will and forced to perform, sexually. Incredible.
Coming out of that experience, I had severe PTSD.
Brother.
And for years, people would bring me things from that movie to autograph at cons and things, and it was really upsetting, but I always did it because I felt like I had no choice.
Right.
And starting about 3 or 4 years ago, I don't know, maybe it was before the pandemic. I think it was right before the pandemic. Someone brought it up, and I was like, I'm not doing that, man. I was abused on that set, and I'm just not going to do it. I don't want that.
Which set? Which one is he talking about?
That movie, The Curse, which nobody's ever seen or heard of.
And I ended up writing.
Video.
Yeah, I mean, essentially. I mean, it was like a low-budget horror movie, I think. Also, what a dick. Just close your eyes and sign your fucking name. If he wants to talk about the movie, just say, yeah, I got some bad memories on that one, but I'll talk about Star Trek with you. Did I ever tell you this story? Blah, blah. There's so many better ways you could interact with your fans instead of just being a virtue signaling cunt like this guy. I'm not going to do that, man. Imagine like waiting in line, putting that in front of him and him just saying like, I'm not going to do that.
It in the book, and I posted it on my blog, and when people bring it up, I say, please read this. And 100% of the time they come back and say, oh my God, I am so sorry. I am taking that thing down. I'm getting rid of the memorabilia.
Getting rid of the memorabilia. Not really, but.
About 5 months ago, it was toward the end of last year, I was at a convention.
I dated a girl in 1989. And it was like just kind of like a summer romance, and it ended, of course. But I always liked her because on our first date, somehow the Smurfs were brought up, and she said, "I hate those commies. I hate those blue commies."
John Schneider was at the convention.
Gosh, she might be the one for me.
In this movie.
Wasn't, but
and
still.
I saw him, and something happened in me that I wasn't prepared for.
Oh, she's talking about John Schneider, I think. I don't know, somebody who was on that set, who is maybe a little bit older than them, Will saw him.
Something was released, a primal terror that I didn't know was there. And I literally had to leave the room. And
here we go.
Like I felt
Go ahead. We know you're going to say you're going to cry.
It was more than a panic attack. I don't know what was happening to me, but I just went into this bathroom by myself, and I found a mirror, and I was like, "Buddy, you're safe. You're safe. You're okay." And I didn't believe it, and
like Stuart Smalley.
He came over.
John Snyder from the Dukes of Hazzard. That's kind of what you guys One of you guys look it up real quick. Was he on that movie, The Curse?
And sat down next to me, and I was just like,
yeah, I thought he was based too.
He was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "Well, I actually need to tell you something." And I told him what happened. And he looked shocked. And
he's probably shocked because he knew it wasn't true.
He was like, "What? Why was I never, and I'm like, "I don't know, man. That's a question you have to answer for yourself." But then I remembered when...
Okay, John Schneider was in The Curse. Okay, so yeah, it is one of the Duke brothers. Yeah, the blonde one.
He was in a scene with me. I felt safe because the director behaved himself, because the crew was on their best behavior, and I had forgotten that.
So the director had it out for you, and the crew had it out for you, Will.
But Bo Duke had your back.
Yeah, but Bo, yeah. It doesn't track. You were just a little... a 13, 14-year-old, whatever, putz.
That one little bit of at least you were there was a really important thing that got me through the next few days till I got home.
The memberships.
Yes, as always, buddy. Much appreciated, man.
And I could see my therapist, and we could work through all of the things. So I had my weekly therapy session, and my therapist said, as she always does, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm not okay." There's a thing that happens in our bodies, I understand this, when our nervous system is dysregulated and our fight, flight, freeze is just like wound up. For that energy to release itself, it generally comes out emotionally, crying, yawning, laughing, things like that.
Shaking.
I cried the hardest I've cried in my life.
Why is he always talking about how much he cries? So embarrassing. Yeah, Bruce. I had heard that John Schneider was pretty conservative. He was probably just being nice, and this just shows the difference between our side and theirs. Like John Schneider is, and he probably knows Will's a bit of a kook, but he was probably just being very polite and nice and just saying like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." I wonder if Will kind of targeted him for the guilt trip. Because he knew John Schneider was conservative. I mean,
how old is this movie?
87, I think. 1987.
And I was like what they call hysterical crying. And I had absolutely no control over
Ryan, gonna give it a watch.
And she had me do this stuff to like tap on my shoulders and slow things down. And it took...
That's where the monkey thing comes
from. The entire session to reach the little boy who is a prisoner in Rome in 1987, and let him know that he is not there anymore, that he's safe, that he got out, that he survived, that he's me. And that, by the way, dude, we're fucking thriving. We're thriving without and in spite of the...
Or are you just convincing yourself you're thriving? You don't look like you're thriving to me. You look like you're constantly on the edge of exploding or crying. How could you say you're thriving when it's one or the other with this guy?
People who did this to you, who did this to me. And being in that conversation with that kid, I felt a change happen in my body. My trauma lives in two primary places in my body, right? It's like up here in my shoulder for some reason. I don't know why. And it's down here. I think my spleen is down here. I think that's what that side is. I can't remember. I felt this thing happen.
You can't remember, then maybe it's not really true.
Yeah, maybe it's just all horse shit, Will. Advanced monkey technique is to throw poo. Don't give him any ideas.
My stomach. I felt, or in my side.
He's still rubbing
himself. I felt something there, a physical sensation of like something large, like a mass in my body. And I was like, what is happening? And I felt it move up into like the lower part of my chest cavity. And I felt it go past my heart, and I felt it settle into... Like,
it's called gas, Will. I think you just had some gas. Yes, I think you had either a burp or a fart. Yeah, or a tumor. Yeah, you may want to get that checked out.
My sternum area, like
Chris Miller, it was an alien.
like that, and I did that, and I felt it leave my body like the bees in the Green Mile, and I said to my therapist,
"That's the one I forgot is the Green Mile drop." I'll get that next time.
Something literally just left me, and I can't explain it, and it doesn't make sense, and nothing left, nothing was there, but something absolutely happened to me. And
yes, you burped.
Yeah. This is not to say that all the trauma of that is gone. It's still there. I live with it. I still have nightmares. But something happened in that day where part of me who was really, really broken and hurt was, if not completely healed, kind of moved off life support, I guess. And the work I've done to continue to heal that part of me.
Travis, it was your soul.
Yes, it was.
Yes. It had finally had enough.
Has been really successful.
Sorry about the miscarriage.
I feel better more often than I don't. And I
still have nightmares about that one. Burp.
Like reactivity that get away from me way less frequently than I used to. And I have learned to stop really beating up on myself when I occasionally do a thing or say a thing that I'm like, crap, I wish that hadn't come out, you know? And I talk to myself, this is so important. I don't know why none of us know to do this intrinsically. I talk to myself the way I talk to my children, who I love more than anything in the world. I should never...
They're not your children. I mean, you adopted them, but did you know he did that? Like his wife had kids with someone else, and then they systematically, what they did to Will's parents, they did another version of to the real father. Just demonized him until he was, as Will would say, othered. That's why I have no sympathy for Will Wheaton at all. Garbage human. Piece of human garbage.
My wife once said to me, I'm listening to you yell at yourself about what...
They turned that guy's kids 100% on him. I mean, it's like, even if he wasn't perfect, come on.
What an idiot you are. And you would never let a person talk to me that way. Why do you talk to yourself like that?
Yeah, he does not have his own
kids,
I was like, guys. Oh shit. He has, his genes are not getting passed on.
But that's not me. That's my dad. You need to leave now. Dad, get out of my head.
It's really, there's so many, first of all, thank you for sharing, this sort of...
she has to, every time she's, he gets political at times in here, and you can tell she just doesn't, even if she may agree with him, she doesn't want that for this podcast that she's doing. She doesn't want it to be the lunatic leftist. So she always has to kind of dance around and basically wrangle Will whenever
also
he comes on.
Level of self-understanding, which I think is, one of the gifts, one of these hidden gifts.
I think she was a child actress, but she's admitted before, I loved I love being a child actor.
I don't know if she did anything before Blossom, but she was Blossom.
Yeah. And so she said, I loved every minute of it. She was glad her parents got, so she's probably hearing this very conflicted, I would bet.
That you get.
And don't forget the massive paycheck she got from Big Bang Theory.
Oh God, yeah.
From doing this kind of work.
Well, most people would see the good and the bad. Maybe, there were bad days. Maybe it did, occasionally drive a wedge between Will and his parents. But the fact that he can't look and see, if it wasn't for my mom kind of telling me, pushing me to do this, I wouldn't be talking to, what's her name, Mayim Bialik or whatever her name is, right now. I would literally be a nobody. I'd be a fucking nerd working an IT job, playing D&D on weekends, just like all of us. Yep. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's the old thoughts and prayers. So Will never reproduced. Overall win then. Yeah, Bruce Maximus. Yeah. Yeah, he's just the best he can do is just kind of corrupt another set of boys against their father.
That was after Big Bang.
Oh, okay.
Call me, I don't know, something about cat or something. I'm not
sure.
sure.
I know she was on Jeopardy for a spell.
One of the things that struck me was this sort of notion of
Interesting.
Like with internal family systems work and with this kind of analysis, you get sort of the opportunity to have access to parts of you that exist at different
I'm a
points in
nobody.
time, right? And
I work in treasury accounting, and I play D&D on Friday nights.
But one of the things that you said, is what like Carl Jung and
But the thing is, Will would always view that as like, oh my God, I could never be one of those people. He wants to eat his cake and have it too, as they say.
Many physicists talk about is that like
See you, Chris.
creativity, meaning imagining, it's a form of creating something out of nothing, right? Meaning we're creating, possibilities. We're creating things that, if you were a creative writer, which you are, you're creating possibility and the sort
and also for Chris Miller, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday this Saturday. Yeah, it's a good way to spend your birthday, amigo. $9.99. That's close enough.
I'll still give you something. Hold on.
That's close enough.
Something. Now, because you're a penny short.
Mama's wrong again.
No, Colonel Sanders, you're wrong.
NS 1962 82 for $9.99. A man's testosterone drops 13% every time he uses the word trauma to describe anything other than a compound fracture or a bullet wound. Yes. Well, I mean, he freely admits to sobbing in his wife's arms.
I climbed up on her lap and I sobbed.
I sobbed. Yeah. Now you'll be immortalized in my intro, Will. Thank you so much, NS 1962.
So the other side of that is...
That makes me feel way cooler than I know I am.
You're not.
The pretentious, like, self-deprecation there.
Well, essentially, like, the way that I hear you talking about it, you're manifesting, right? A part of you that deserves to be healed.
Yeah.
And when we talk about what it means to get on the other side of trauma, the other side of depression, the other side of anxiety, to be able to say, there is a reality where I don't have to live like this anymore, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that's dipping into the future, right? What does future
Who's
mean?
the guy?
I'm not sure who he is. I don't really watch this.
Is that like her husband or something? I'm gonna look. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. Just look co-host. I think her show is called Breakdown. I think that's what this is called.
Potentially get to exist in. And what you're talking about is kind of visiting past me. What did I experience? And you get to go back in time and create an environment that child part didn't have. So in that sense, like when you talk, what you're talking about is healing.
Yeah.
And that movement, and there's...
Ryan, what's up with these podcasts and having a mute on set?
Many
to be fair, I
reasons
edited out. Like he did earlier on, he was talking about a lot of like, not like conspiracy theory stuff, but like kind of weird science stuff. And they were like throwing it off of Will, and he was just batting it away. Like, I need to see, proof.
I think has some of the most
His name
fascinating...
is Jonathan Cohen.
Okay.
And he is a writer, poet, producer, father. I don't see any... They met 10 years ago at a birthday party for their kids, and they just hit it off. They're not like together romantically or anything. They just...
Oh, just business. Okay.
Yeah, they just hit it off. That's it.
Perspectives on this.
Right.
A lot of traditional Chinese medicine, like even the best practitioners will say, this is not science like you think of science.
Right.
It's a different kind of science that has its own nomenclature. But
I mean, if it's worked for 6,000 years.
Yeah, sorry, Maliki. If I'd have known she was talking this much, I'd have gone in. There was a death in my wife's family, so I didn't have quite the time to edit like I usually do. Otherwise, I'd have taken out all this garbage. Mea culpa.
Maybe we need to respect
bonus
that.
Well,
right? Or give it some weight, I guess?
Yes. I mean, I would hold that all extrasensory ability has existed for much longer than 6,000 years. And we simply are harnessing it, from like our current understanding. But what you're describing is a process of healing, right? And it's not healing like science likes to see it. We like a double blind where we give this drug.
Look, we measured it and we can tell. Right. Yeah.
We did it 1,000 times. The mouse didn't die and it never died, from this disease. then we can say this worked. But what you're
Cheers,
talking
brother.
about is on
Good
what
to
we
see you
would
on the
say
playground.
It's an energetic level, meaning there's something occurring that is emotional.
She's about to
which
get gonged here.
Emotions
We're about to go to
science. You
Scott
don't have an
Garibay and
emotional
call it a night.
experience without sodium and potassium pumps being opened and like
there are
everything that you're feeling. It's
All right, let him talk. He's a guest on your show.
in your brain, and that's your body. So
we
to me,
can
it's
definitely
like yes.
quantify it as
all these liberals. They can't hear themselves talk enough.
Like chemical reactions. These are biochemical reactions.
Yeah.
Chemistry is happening. I occasionally remember that we are made of something that came out of the heart of a dying star, and I get so overwhelmed with that.
There's your freeze frame, people. Clip it if you want. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is the soyest pose you will see today.
I just think it's so cool. Like, oh, why are people wasting time being angry about things and trying to hurt people? This is such a cool existence that we have.
Yeah, you're one of the ones doing it, Will. You can't see through to forgive your parents for giving you fame and money and a career. How horrible for you. A little more hot sauce.
Point out,
It's
I'm
coming.
sorry. I want to just button my story.
We'll do 4 more minutes.
To say this.
9:20. We'll go to
his credit,
Garibay.
John Schneider told me how sorry he was. He said, "I'm so sorry. I don't remember, and I'm sorry for that as well."
Sorry for what? What did John Schneider do?
Yeah. All right, let's do it. I'll have thoughts.
Asked me if it was okay for him to give me a hug, which I really appreciated, and I said, "Yeah, I think that's okay."
Yeah, I think that's okay for you to do that. What a piece of garbage. He gets off on this. I have seen him do this in other interviews where he'll confront, because he did it to the Stand By Me kid, who's a guy. He's like the super hunk. What's his name in Stand By Me?
Well, I never saw it, but wasn't Kiefer Sutherland in that stuff?
Yeah, it wasn't him. Chad will know. But he saw like that dude like somewhere public, and he did the exact same thing to that guy. And it was the response was the exact same. The person was a good person, and he was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you had such a hard time on yet another set."
River Phoenix.
It was not River Phoenix. It was one of the 4 in the group. Didn't he become like a big? Was it? It wasn't Patrick Dempsey, was it? I don't know. Was he? He wasn't in that. No, I don't know. It was one of those guys. But yeah, this poor guy got ambushed as Will just kept saying like, "Oh yeah, I got Stand By Me. My mom was mistreating me." Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's it. It's Jerry. It's that Jerry something. Yes, that's it. Yep, that's it. Jerry.
Who later on was on Big Bang Theory with him.
Yes.
I don't know if they had any scenes together.
But yeah, they were. Yep. Yeah. So
Corey Feldman had real life trauma.
Yeah, the thing is, I believe Corey Feldman because he was saying it when it wasn't cool to say it, and he suffered for it. Will just did it when, in this era of where you get ass pats for doing it. Yeah, it was definitely that Jerry Connell. And he did the same thing. He's like, "Oh, Will, I'm so sorry," and Will had the same smug attitude, like, yeah, you should have known back then. That's sort of what he was doing to John Schneider here. Yeah, I guess I'll allow you. Making these people bend the knee right in front of them, so to speak. And just for a little bit, just for a tiny little bit, Will Wheaton is above John Schneider or Jerry Connell or whoever he's doing this to. That's why I hate this guy.
What did that feel like?
Well, I already know what it felt like. You got a visceral thrill out of it. Because you got somebody to dance for you. You guilted a decent person into being nice to you.
Not what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, "Oh, it's okay. It's fine. Everything's better now." It wasn't that,
Wow. This guy's going out of his way on a movie that is almost 40 years old to say, "I can't believe, oh man, I believe you, even though I wasn't aware of it." And this is his reaction. I wasn't happy. When this guy said, "I'm so sorry. Can I give you a hug?" Don't fall for it. Why these people fall for this guy? Just avoid him.
But it did feel I felt seen.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I believe you." And I said, "You're the first person who was there who said that.
Wow.
He probably just wanted to get away from you. Just leave.
If there's
because you know what, he probably sees what you're doing to your parents.
an energy in this universe
He speaks.
that is pulling us all towards an equilibrium.
Yeah.
And towards a health and healing. You know, the story that I make up is that in that bathroom, you had a physiological re-experiencing of what that childhood moment, those childhood moments were inside of you.
Yeah.
And John Schneider was the catalyst to sort of reawaken that stuff.
Yeah.
And you were also sort of doing that work by setting the boundary and recognizing the trigger of having to sign that merch, and then going through that and reconnecting to that child. It was like that experience was exercised out of you. You know, it was living in your body,
Surly.
and then it
So
coming
sick
out of
of
your
this.
mouth like that and moving around somatically, and then literally exiting is by reconnecting and loving and recognizing that young child part of you that had gone through that. You literally were able to take part of it and allow it to leave.
Yes, she
you
did.
so that
Yep.
you weren't carrying it the same way.
That's not the same person, though.
I didn't know
it's
this.
not.
That's Dan Schneider, and they're talking about John.
This is the first time I've been able to talk about it.
Right?
without
Yeah,
really
Dan. Yeah,
having
no,
incredible
we're talking about Don. Yeah, he has it
That's why I
right.
didn't know if
Yeah,
I
he
could
has it
tell
right.
the
Dan.
story
Yeah, but
or not. Something like this happened.
Yes. Yeah, Dan.
Like he's talking about John Schneider.
Yes,
who was
Dukes of Hazzard,
both-
yeah.
and
Yeah.
this is a totally different
Yeah,
guy.
it is.
Dan Schneider.
Yeah,
Okay.
but he's just saying that as far as child actors go.
Yeah.
In other words, Will's too much of a coward to say publicly like this person.
Dan Schneider
sexually
was on,
abused me.
Head of the Class with Dr. Johnny Fever, Howard
Mhm.
Hessman, and Robin Givens.
For sure. Yeah, Dan Schneider has a lot of the kids from Nickelodeon. Yeah, that was a good.
Did you ever hear that story about that TV show iCarly? That the Miranda Cosgrove played Carly,
Yeah.
and her older brother's was Jerry Trainer. I think his name on the show was Spencer, if I'm not mistaken. But he didn't really have a role, but the only reason he stayed around was to protect the kids. And there's a scene at a party.
Is that the one where she's shaking up the thing and it looks like
She
a load?
like he's trying to get close to the girls, and Jerry Trainer keeps stepping in between the girls and him. You know, like
Well, there's a good documentary called Quiet on the Set.
Mhm.
It details all this stuff. Yeah, Dan Schneider's a bad dude. Just a
that
bad
Jerry,
guy.
and he also played the voice of Tough Puppy. If anybody remembers that cartoon,
Tough Puppy.
Tough Puppy, yeah,
I don't know. I don't even know if I remember that one.
yeah, Travis,
There you go.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, goddamn Schneider.
I had a
And that's what I hate. Like there are legit monsters out there like that, but you know, Will always has to make it about himself. So he essentially threw whoever was the director under the bus and said it was probably him. But then he also said the crew. I mean, a
flashback.
I'll say it again. I just
Craft Services, like, what
We
did I
grew up
do?
in the
Yeah, he's like, I
We
was
went on
just
auditions
bringing
for
sandwiches to the
age.
set.
I don't want to
This
name
little
them.
bastard.
People know exactly who I'm talking about. Two
Okay.
brothers and a sister with a mom.
Yep.
Who was a monster. You know who I'm talking about. I saw one of the brothers in a movie that I unexpectedly, and I was like, oh, it's that guy. And as I watched it, I remembered how much she would scream at them on auditions. And I remember how scared all of us kids were when this woman came around. And I remembered my mom always pointing at that lady and saying, at least I'm not like that, at least I'm not like that. And I've talked to other kids, our generation, adults now, whose parents told them the same thing. At least I'm not
Right.
like her. Like she was the monster that all the parents who were also monsters. But they were like, oh, well, that's Tiamat. I mean, I'm just an orc. Okay.
Are you kidding me?
All these people are like, what is an orc?
Yeah.
Who's Tiamat?
Yeah, Mayim's probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? So he's basically throwing his mom under the bus again because I guess you know what? Mom should have just screamed at him because she's getting the same treatment one way or the other.
Okay, well, I'm a level 1 magic user, so I have 1 hit point. There's literally no difference between the two of you.
So there's no difference between a mom who goes and berates and screams at her kid and your mom who's just trying to oversee you. By the way, who was on set for this movie, The Curse, apparently, who's trying to protect you
and
from whatever.
I had this incredible flashback where I was like, oh my God, all the lies. All the lies that were told to me about what my life was, I could see through all of them, and I realized he and I were exactly the same. I saw all the pain in his eyes that I saw in my eyes. I had to turn the movie off and go.
It's so selfish, because obviously there was a horrible state. I don't know, does anybody know who he's talking about? Set of brothers, 80s, with a horrible like stage mom. They had to not only like bear the brunt of that on the set. When they probably got home, it was twice as bad. But here's Will Wheaton saying, "Oh yeah, it was just as bad for me."
Find Anne.
Apparently
and
not.
just tell her
No, it's
like
not.
what had gone on, and
Vegas
had the stuff sort of leave my body. And I had never experienced anything like that before. And I talked to other people, and they were like, "Yeah, that's an actual flashback." Just to stay on topic.
It's like stolen
it
valor
was
for
very
like
real.
trauma.
I felt I was back at I was in the waiting room at Tepper Gallegos. I was in the waiting room at Sheila Manning. It was 1983.
No, if
I was there, you know.
Yeah, if I can frame it, that's the difference between.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, like the Phoenixes. But he kind of made it seem like, oh, I saw one of the brothers in a movie. Well, Joaquin Phoenix is a huge fucking actor. It shouldn't just be like, oh, I saw this obscure actor. But I think I had heard, no one of consequence, that the Phoenix mother was pretty notorious. So maybe
Do
that
they have
was
a sister.
I think they do. Yeah, I think there is. So yeah, I mean, maybe all signs point to that. That she was just a monster. But it doesn't matter, because as bad as she was nothing compared to Will's mom, who by all accounts, back on his blog, he described talking to her after he hadn't talked to her in a while and how happy he was to hear her voice. And he said her voice, and I think I'm quoting here, was like a warm blanket for him. This is before you got ass pats for being a perpetual victim. And he saw the dollar signs in it, apparently. All right, we can leave it here. Where are we at on this one? She's only 20 in. Ugh.
Hi, friend.
All right, I got to, 1 second here. I got to go to, I wrote it down. 27. All right, the last of the Dirt Boys.
Hi, friends. This is your pal, Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Matthew Mercer and Orion Akaba and Gary Gygax's augury of the Platonic Solid.
Hold on. One quick thing about...
Yeah.
If they're talking about the Phoenixes, there was River and Joaquin, and then there were 3 sisters.
Okay.
Rain, Liberty, and Summer. So I don't know...
Maybe they weren't all actresses, maybe.
But on like you can Google them all. You know what I'm saying? Like
all you have to do is say was Joaquin Phoenix's or was River Phoenix's mom a monster? I'm sure there's plenty of stories out there. Rich S, $2. Does he talk about his past lives as we get deeper? I didn't watch the whole thing. Maybe we can save a little bit of that for a future. Let's just say a future episode of The Lair.
And how he augured the critical role, the absolute template for Dungeons & Dragons players.
You remember it last week? He's going on about how Gary Gygax augured the Platonic Solids, and it somehow involves the Critical Role cast being members of the your dice set.
Iconic player set, all right?
Just go with it.
Today we're going to talk about Travis Willingham. All right. So what is Travis Willingham? Well, he is clearly a D6, and he is blue plastic with white crayon. So where did Gary Gygax augur Travis Willingham? What type of player is he? None. He was not augured, and he never should have been on Critical Role.
None. He's only a die 6. I prayed for moving on to Garibay. He says one sentence, and I experience immediate regret. Right there with
Travis
you, brother.
Willingham
right there with
was
you.
Completely
Thank you,
and
Patrick.
utterly unnecessary.
By the way, there's a link. If it's not a link, just pointyhat.games. You can get Elemental ConFlux, I believe. That would be Patrick's cute little card game. It travels well and it plays well too. Me and Mrs. D played it at Gen Con.
I'm not saying that he didn't read my comment.
Mm-hmm.
However, when he's like, I want to know what you guys think in a Fetch Millennium or whatever, I watched one of his videos and I commented on it, and it was just like, hey, are you a gig app worker?
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Keep grinding. I was very supportive.
Yeah.
He didn't respond to my video or my comment whatsoever. I'm not saying he didn't read it, but
necessary.
He might recognize
and should
you.
never have been on Critical Role. And the reason why
you be stained by your association with
about to
Double
go. He's about to go ask him health.
when Gary set the polyhedral set down, it wasn't just the dice we
Never go
rolled
ask him
to get difficulty check numbers, right, and add our modifiers. It was specifically set in order to set the number of players, right? The D20 is the Dungeon Master.
You can't be right there, Mike.
And the Dungeon Master is the most
you're putting us
valuable
on.
person at the table, right? More valuable than any player, okay? And players are not of equal value. There's the D4, the D6, the D8, the D10, the D12, right? Well, wait a second, Scott. You said that he wasn't, that he's
Stay
a
out
D6.
of his way, Michael
Doesn't
Rhodes.
that mean he's augured in? No, he's an offset, okay? The iconic player set is the white plastic with the green crayon. And Critical Role's actual correct size that Matthew Mercer should have set it at is 5 players. And I will tell you
his back window is like not the rear window. His back passenger side window.
I see that.
Is
Yeah.
filthy.
It is.
It's like that's where the if he was an Uber driver, that's where they were trying to get out. Like those claw marks.
Yes.
Matthew Mercer is brilliant. He is the second best Dungeon Master in the entire world. Who's the best?
Just ran over Rogan.
Dave Wolfers. I got a lot of material on him here on this channel as well.
Maybe it was good for his back.
All right. So, but it's very important to understand that that Travis Willingham is an offset, right? He's blue plastic D6, a cube, a platonic solid, right? But he was never part of the iconic player set, right? He doesn't have a player type, right? And the reason why is he's just an offset. He's a single die with no other dice matching. You guys have all been there, right?
It's just an offset. Like, I don't know if offset is the right. It's like when your crazy cousin was like spending money and then saying, "Don't worry, I'll write you a receipt for it."
Yeah, the original IOUs from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, I'm gonna write you a receipt.
Go through your dice collection. You're like, "What is this thing?" And you got some weird, speckled die that you don't have any other matching dice to, right? Now, actually, there's a guy I really love named Ed Stark who was a D&D designer, and he recently gathered those all up and made polyhedral sets out of them in non-matching, which I thought was pretty brilliant, right? But Travis Willingham is an offset die. He does not belong on Critical Role. He never did. He doesn't now.
You're right.
And he should immediately be cut in the future.
This is all just an elaborate setup for saying everybody on Critical Role is shit, and that's why they need Orion Akaba back. A guy who was on there for 25 episodes, pissed everybody off. Nobody liked him. He was apparently on drugs, I guess. And then he's been off for over 10 years.
In my opinion. He's just not needed, right? You need 5 players at the table. You don't need a single one more. And every single player
Good
you
cinematography
have beyond those 5, we now know this. And we know this because of Orion Akaba. These specific shapes that were chosen, right, for the iconic iconic dice set, they accomplish a few things. One, they augured Orion Akaba's exile.
Sorry, Rogan.
And Gary Gygax specifically
We'll get that back into shape.
The shapes so that he could point to Orion Akaba's exile and explain Orion Akaba's exile. And I really appreciate your patience. By the time we finish this mini series within the primary series, right? You're going to understand why, right? And it is extremely
mini
profound.
series within a primary series.
Studying Orion Akaba has helped me to understand why Gary Gygax chose those specific shape for the dice and that specific number of dice to be at the table.
Wow. Soak that in. His study of Orion Akaba made him go back in time, made him think Gary Gygax went ahead in time and augured Orion Akaba. It's just some crazy stuff here, man.
Right? And we would never have
I've been doing like a lot of like before bed, I'll watch a lot of videos about like black holes and what could be like on the other side of them. Like, are there white holes on the other side that's just spew stuff out? I get the same kind of like theoretical trippiness from when he's talking about Orion Akaba this way. He lionizes this guy.
Would never have seen these
I've been
revelations
looking at Lannister Gold for all my life.
about Dungeons and Dragons without Orion Akaba. And so Orion Akaba's Akaba 72 window is an illuminating light, right, that shows us new concrete realities of Dungeons and Dragons and helps us to understand Dungeons and Dragons at a level we never did before. Travis Willingham has no business on Critical Role. Critical Role would have been much, much better without him. He is a D6. He is blue plastic with white crayon, right? He is an offset. There are no matching dice to him. And
you could be right, but just this is where you have to put in a little bit of, you have to roll up your sleeves and actually prove it, Scott. Instead of doing just car videos, maybe you could actually, I don't know, invest in some free editing software and cut up like an old Critical Role and say, see, aha, this is why I don't like this guy. This is how he plays his character.
Say, right, like when I get those weird dice, I've never thrown a single one out, right? I'm always like, oh, I know this is going to turn up. These other dice are going to turn up. They never do, right? But you don't throw them out. So I'm not saying Travis Willingham doesn't have value. I think he would have been a good player at somebody's kitchen table that had never been shown to the public. I think he would have been a good player there, right? But he certainly had no business on Critical Role. And really
Nick,
should have never been
Garabay-ception.
on Critical Role.
Good to see you here, buddy.
He's an offset die, okay? He is a D6. He's blue plastic with white crayon. He is a platonic solid. His shape is cube, but he is an offset. And he never should have been added to Critical Role. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When
you don't want to hear our humble
opinion. Yeah.
Please consider.
My man here tried to give you his humble. He was just asking you just a question.
He's a colleague of mine.
Yeah.
Contemporary.
He just wanted to bond with you a little bit.
Fetch Millennium.
Whoa, he just gave you the high
Hi,
five.
friends. This is your pal, Scott Garabay, and today we are going to talk about Matthew Mercer, Orion.
What, do you notice anything different?
Well, it's daytime. But I'm going to say that it's the same car, but it's the back seat's up, the water bottle's gone.
I think he got a haircut.
Yeah.
I think he got a haircut. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just the way it's combed and it's not like untamed as usual. His luxurious mane is a little bit more under control.
He could have gotten a haircut, but also this would be like first thing in the morning, and his other one would be, there you go. And the other one is
he took a
like
bath.
after a 20-hour shift.
Yeah. He finally took a bath. Yeah. Oh, I knew that. There was this old salesman, Jack Tomasic, and it was right when I was first starting out in the working world. So I was like in my mid-20s. And I'm like, Jack, you got your hair cut. And he would always say, I got all my hairs cut. I was always like, that bastard.
Akaba and Gary Gygax's augury of the platonic solids. And today we're going to talk about
his last delivery was to a barber.
When Gary Gygax created Dungeons and Dragons, he chose 6 specific polyhedral shapes to be the math rocks.
We love them.
Forward. And before Orion Akaba, we thought that these were chosen specifically to generate random numbers, right? But their primary purpose was to define the iconic template, the iconic player set, right? and what types of players would be
how
at the
tall
Dungeons
he
and
is.
Dragons table, and
how tall?
Yeah. His head goes above the headrest, and it looks like he's pushing towards the top of his car. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, he could be over 6 foot.
how many?
Red die 6 plus die 6 plus die 6. 666 Orion Akama is primary Satan. Let's hope not.
So
Thank
the
you,
way
Mitch.
Gary set it up, he modeled the table with the math rocks, right? The D20 dungeon.
Well, he doesn't smoke, so it's probably it is probably sweaty though. There's that
It
sort
would
of
be
like
sweaty. His car would be that it'd have like a body odor type smell.
Yes, yeah, it's that we all know it when we smell.
And then
yep. Like you get into a taxi sometimes, like if you've ever been in like a big city taxi, you immediately smell it.
Mm-hmm.
Master. 5 players of differing value, right? And this is a big deal because we didn't really, for a long time, we've gotten Dungeons and Dragons wrong, thinking that the players at the table were of equal value. This was completely wrong. And Hollywood has this right. They don't pay they literally have extras. They're like, you're gonna get a few $100 in some craft sandwiches. Right, and then like the lead, they're like, oh yeah, you're going to get millions of dollars, points on the back end.
We always called it butt
and
cheese.
You're not going to have to eat with anybody at the craft table. Every meal will be brought to you, and you're going to have a rider.
It smells like the
green
French fries
just
he
green
had from
M&Ms,
his
right?
last delivery.
And and we're going here in Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm going to go get something to eat after this.
Of pretending that every player at the table is of the same value. And now we know you have a D4, you have a D6, you have a D8, you have a D10, you have a D12, and you have a D20, right? 5 players and 1 dungeon master.
He has to elucidate that every single time. It's like we know what the dice are.
And if you go 4 or if you go a different one, you're not playing by the iconic player set, right? Today we're going to talk about the D8. And,
Quasimodo
first
predicted all this.
Iconic D8 player.
Who did what?
And what type of player she is, right? And so the D8, the white plastic with green crayon, iconic D8 is Laura Bailey. She is of far more value, right, than Marisha Ray or Ashley Johnson. And she is specifically a D8, right?
Yeah, Patrick, what would Gary think of Garabay's theory? I think
He'd
Gary
block him on Twitter.
Yeah, well, Gary, I think Gary would have been nice enough. He'd have been like, that's a little much, or that's a little crazy. But he was also Gary was a pretty nice guy in dealing with some of these people. I saw the way he handled it on EN World in that thread. He basically was very patient. I think he had a lot of patience for everybody, so he probably would actually be very patient.
That's her value. She's right in the middle of it.
He'd still think he's fucking nuts, but he'd be patient with him.
And let's talk about what type of player she is. The type of player that Laura Bailey is the identity player. So more than any other player at the table, she is there to inhabit her player character, right? She's not there for other people. She's not there to pay a sacrifice. She is there specifically, right, to inhabit this other player. And for Laura, it was Vex. And Vex is one of the most significant. Vex really served as the leader of Vox Machina, right? And she was an extremely important character. And
Star Wars,
Vox Machina. It's a cool sounding name. I think that's the world, right? Chat of the Critical Role people. It's either their campaign name or the world name.
Laura Bailey really dove into her character. She poured Laura Bailey into Vex.
Oh boy!
And some of Vex
Somebody's
was poured
not
back
doing their
into
job.
Laura Bailey. I think if you look
No,
over
I
the
did.
years,
It blocked that
you'll see
thread.
Laura Bailey is no longer Laura.
I don't think you understand
She
what
is
I do
Laura
over
with
here.
some Vex in her, right? And Vex was Vex with parts of Laura that are left there that never return.
It's vexed by Vox
to Laura, like a vessel pouring in both directions, right? And so that is, and also that D8, that octahedron, okay, is a platonic solid. It is extremely important to remember that.
Oh, it's the party name. Okay, Spartan. They changed it from the shits. I want to believe that.
Okay.
Oh, Exandria. That's right. I heard about that when they were doing like the whole dagger heart thing was going around. Okay, Exandria. Thank you for setting me straight.
Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like subscribing and have a fetch millennium.
He definitely got a haircut.
Looking cleaned up.
Hell yeah. Okay, that's it for tonight. If Rogan was here, we were going to do some O&R, but unfortunately,
Better, buddy.
no.
He said he's going to listen tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll hear all of your comments. We still got more of the Scott thing. We can we can squeeze that out for another.
Squeeze it out.
One more way. It's more content. But yeah, that should do it for tonight. Well, another dense show.
To the millions listening around the world, thank you.
Yep. If before you guys go tonight, hit the like button, please.
Yeah, on your way out.
And if you know somebody who might like this, hey, share it with them. The Jewish skeptic. You're gonna get me in trouble here. $2. Why does he hate Travis so much? Laughing his ass off. I think it's Jewish skeptic. I think it's not personal. I think it's just he loves Orion Akaba so much that he's willing to tear all of them down to make Orion Akaba ascendant to them. Call it jealousy, whatever you want. It's so crazy. As somebody said, these parasocial relationships. He thinks he knows Orion Akaba. It's a little, I don't know, like a little unsettling. There he is, the man.
Your name is Toby.
That's right. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. All of you guys. Yep. Thank you so very, very much. Joe, good to see you, buddy. All of you guys who super chatted and gave donations, much appreciated, as always.
I didn't see Jeff Hatch tonight.
Yep, no Jeff Hatch.
Yeah.
DB the
Disco. He'll watch it later.
Yeah.
And he always comments.
Yeah, he always
on the
he
video.
always watches on the rebound, which is fine.
No Panther tonight.
That's a tough ask for him being down under. But yeah, guys, thanks a lot. Much appreciated. I will try to time it with the music. Techno Stress. Love that song. That's an NFL film song, by the way, if you guys are interested in that.
Roxy, have a good one.
Yep. See you, Roxy. See you, Ryan. Surly. Titties and beer.
Titties
Great.
and
Nick.
beer.
Love that name. Love that name. Yep. 8 Mobius, Dice Tales, OGG, all of you guys. Can't say goodbye to all of you individually, but I'll try to send
Ryan
you out.
Abracadabra.
It's Ryan Abracadabra. He had a few good ones. Keep them coming, Joe. Load them up for next time. All right, I'll send you out with something here, guys. Take care. Love you all. You're the reason we want to come back too.
Keep doing it.
Yeah. So
peace out.
Peace out for Crazy Mouse and Rogan, who is not here. We will talk to you guys next week.
shall be questioned by none. All I say, give to me, that is my decree. My will be done.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
There's a ship lies rigged and ready in the harbor. Tomorrow for old England she sails, far away from your land of endless sunshine, to my land full of rainy skies and gales. And I shall be aboard that ship tomorrow, though my heart is full of tears at this farewell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. I heard there's a wicked war a-blazing, and the taste of war I know so very well. Even now I see the foreign flag a-raising, their guns on fire as we sail into hell. I have no fear of death, it brings no sorrow, but how bitter will be this last farewell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. Though death and darkness gather all about me, and my ship be torn apart upon the sea, I shall smell again the fragrance of these islands, in the heaving waves that brought me once to thee. And should I return safe home again to England, I shall watch the English mist roll through the dell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can